Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to
that welcome was different.
to episode 122 of Defining Duke and Xbox Funeral.
We like to gather here today. We have a viewing.
Today I am joined by, as always, my wonderful co-host, Lord Cognito Cog. How are you today, my friend?
Man, what a week. What a week, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Woo. Things to talk about, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. But we got to do this show, man. That's what I was looking forward to. And this is part therapy, part passion.
Yeah, this is on my mind for sure. Yeah,
it's been on my mind. It's been getting ready to see. I was like, I got to see my mans today. We got to talk. Lots of. How you doing? How's it been for you, sir?
Oh, rotten apple, man. Not only did my Rangers get knocked out of the playoffs, but we got this shit to go over. So I'm just like, I got my Oilers. My Oilers are okay. They're still in there.
Okay.
It's game one tonight as we record. So, we'll see how that goes. But, man, I got to be real. This week, Defining Duke was on my mind since the moment I got my review code for Redfall and realized what was going to happen. Like, I just knew right away. And I've just been hotly anticipating this. So Cog and I, we're structuring this show a little bit different in the sense that we're not going to rush, but we're going to try to beeline through the before we begin section because we know we have so many write-ins. We had our record-setting 130 plus write-ins for Defining Duke this week. So a lot of people have a lot of questions for us on all things Game Pass, quality. How did Xbox let what happened to Redfall happen? There's so much to discuss on this that we are going to try to beeline to the what we're playing section, and that is going to be the Redfall cast. Like, there is so much to be said about it. But we're going to do our usual show up until that point. But we want to get there because we don't want to have a whole show full of like, well, we'll get there when we get there, constantly saying that topic per topic.
Yeah,
so
true that.
We're gonna beeline it. Just as always, we're available for early access on patreon.com/laststandmedia, where the show goes live on Thursdays, especially in weeks like this. I'm sure you're itching for your Duke special, so you can get it nice and early. Otherwise, we hit free feeds on Sunday, like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, YouTube, where you can find us on the Last Stand Media YouTube channel and so on. Defining Duke Ultimate got a great episode coming up. We sat down with the principal design director for Minecraft, Craig Lay, and it was a great interview, about an hour plus, and we get a lot of great insight. I thought we had a little bit of a scoop on the 3+ million players when he dropped on the show, but then they broke the news on that. I was like,
yeah, I was like, damn, we had that.
Yeah, that was ours. But anyway, no worries there. So that'll be up for DDU. That's in the can, recorded, so we have no problem promising that is on the way in our next DDU episode 110. So please look forward to that. We're going to skip mobile reviews this week, get straight to the patrons. We apologize to those of you who wrote mobile reviews. We'll catch up next week. But of course, in the spirit of being a little bit quicker this show and get into the Redfall conversation.
For sure.
Max Fifth String writes in to set the tone for the episode.
It's true.
Hey, Dukes. Hope you've had a great day. Been feeling it hard with gaming lately, and I've had to take a step back from it personally as I've just been beaten down too much by media, companies, and the like from bad releases, bad moves, misplaced attention, and in general, bad vibes. I'm happy to say that you guys made the cut of gaming media /podcast to stay alongside Seasoned Gaming. I'm just going to cut willows at Draenor Village until all this dies down kind of week. I love it. Man's going to RuneScape for therapy. That's what you got to do in life. If you're down, go cut some trees in Draenor. That's all you gotta do.
I respect. Look, man, he going through it. But I like his point about disconnecting sometimes. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to disconnect and focus on other things and get back to it. But yeah, respect on the shout out though. Respect on the shout out as far as us making the cut and shout out the season.
We appreciate it. Now, Blues Bomber kind of sets the tone a little bit further, right? This is all about Redfall. So he writes, "Hey Dukes, just wanted to quickly thank Maddie for answering me on Twitter about Redfall and getting my money back for the physical edition that I had bought. I know you don't respond often, but I took a chance and you saved me some money. I'm sad about the game, but publishers don't deserve your money if they are fine with just shitting out a game. Thanks for not being a fanboy. Much love to the Dukes. Yes, I don't reply often on Twitter, but when Blues Bomber said, should I return my unopened copy of Redfall, I was just like, I gave him just a resounding yes. Yes, you should.
Respect,
and anyone who's listening should.
That's
until it's patched.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Blues Gamer, for trusting, or Blues Bomber, sorry, for trusting me. I do appreciate it a lot.
No doubt.
Let's get some good vibes in here, though. All right. Phil McCarthy writes in and betrays his PlayStation Nation by saying, hey, Dukes, how's the forum, boys? It's my first time writing in, but not with a question. I wanted to give you guys and the show a glowing tip of the cap and applause for a fantastic show. As a steadfast PlayStation fan and a 42-year-old gamer, I sometimes find it tough to open myself to new podcasts and shows, but after the first episode of Sacred Symbols Cross Defining Duke, I decided to dip my toe into the new territory that is Defining Duke and Defining Duke Ultimate. Though I doubt I'll ever cross over into Xbox gaming, I absolutely adore your show, your insights, and complete honesty when it comes to calling out the faults with a product you love. I'm a huge fan of both you guys and your individual work, and together you make an incredible team. I hope to be able to fly to London from my hometown of Limerick, Ireland, in the near future if a live show happens there. But until then, have a don't tell my friends I'm writing into an Xbox podcast or I'll be disowned kind of day. We're the guilty pleasure for him.
I love it. That guilty pleasure. You're not supposed to be listed.
Yeah,
bro, that's love. I love write-ups like this. And respect, man. I love the fact that the energy of the show kind of draw you in. And then the fact you follow both of us individually, that's kind of dope too. And then, us forming on this. So salute to Phil McCarthy. That was really, really cool.
Absolutely. So thank you, Phil, for a little bit of positivity this episode. It'll be in short supply. So let's get into the news, shall we? We got a lot to go over. Minecraft Legends, as we just said, we did an interview with Craig Lay, and we learned during that episode, but then it was broken out publicly that within 10 days, the game has hit 3 million players. Now, it's a multi-platform launch, but with Game Pass and everything, we're seeing, once again, the metric is players, but undoubtedly Minecraft Legends, despite the middling reviews that I thought were shockingly low, is doing quite well, and I'm glad it is because I think it's a great game.
Man, salute. Again, 3 million shows you the power of Minecraft. As much as the hardcore gamer feels how the hardcore gamer feels, I told people Minecraft be moving it out here for sure.
How about a little T-ball energy? A new Xbox dashboard with more background space has been revealed, and a lot of fans are hyping it up. It will release later this week for Alpha Skip Ahead and Alpha Insider. So, Cog, you'll get your hands on that shortly. Already, you got it. Okay.
I got it today.
How do you feel about it?
I like it. I like it. What it is the actual tiles are really reduced down, which gives me the real estate of my damn dynamic background art. So it looks good. I got my stuff moving around. Early results are good. The only issue I have, I don't know if it's maybe a bug that I have to report, which is now when my games install, there's the downloading, install, and then there's a part that says finishing up. And then it's very quick. Now it's like taking long. So I think it's a bug. I will give them feedbacks and earn more achievements from my insider score because they got to fix that.
Yes, sir. But that's your big Xbox news for the week there. New dashboard. That's my energy. I'm just letting everyone know now. This is my energy, man. I'm not playing fucking games this episode, man. I'm not applauding them as they hit the ball off the tee for that one.
I feel you.
Go fix my achievements instead. All right. Xbox announced a new Game Pass referral program to invite PC friends to join Game Pass. Up to 5 friends can get a 14-day free trial for PC Game Pass, but the catch is they must be brand new to the service. So this is how they're expanding, right? We talked a bit about how the $1 deal is going away. How are they going to expand? And now we're starting to see that here with PC Game Pass. And I like this. Up to 5 friends, get them involved when the right game comes out. Timely with Redfall, hey, come check this out. But I think that was the plan at least. But I like this idea here. This is a good referral program. Get people in 14 days, see what it's all about. Hopefully keep them in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the fact that PC Game Pass is the growth spurt for them, you know what I mean? To keep that. I find it interesting that it's not afforded to the console guy.
We've done our part. We've done our part.
You just say we laid the bricks for the PC gamer, but the console gamer can gift his to a PC gamer, which I thought was quite interesting. So,
right on.
There's that.
Halo Season 2 is officially wrapped up filming, and that season will release in 2024. Will you be tuning into Master Cheeks, sir?
Yeah, I gotta see if it even tries to get better. I mean, the last 2 episodes were better. And I think from the onset of Cortana being in the show, then it felt better. And then they got rid of that character that I couldn't stand. So hopefully we get on track in season 2.
Okay, fingers crossed, man. Even in a massively underwhelming week for Xbox, 343 and Halo can't seem to stay on their best behavior as fans are upset that the hit registration in Halo Infinite is now not working properly. There's actually a clip going around on Reddit where someone's playing Tactical Slayer and they go to headshot someone, and a lot of people are saying they've had the same issue where the shot connects, there is blood, but the game doesn't register, and people are starting to worry something's just wrong deeply with the code of the game. And so, this has been a problem for a while for Halo Infinite players, but now it's kind of coming to a head. And it's starting to get picked up, even on the week where Redfall seemingly was sucking all the oxygen out of the room with the press. It's still Halo Infinite doing Halo Infinite things. So anything you like to add on this?
Halo Infinite, don't forget me out here, man. I'm still... I still got things I got to talk about, But yeah, the decent issues have reared their ugly head again. And again, it's unfortunate because, this is not the week we really want to hear about more Halo Infinite issues. So, there's that. It's going to be a fun show today, y'all. It
really is. It really is, man. Okay, well, we'll pause for the Xbox for a moment here. We'll get into Jedi Survivor. We actually have a write-in attached to this, so we can sit on this for a little bit. There obviously has been a lot of problems with the PC version of Jedi Survivor, and even the console version seemed to have got worse compared to what I played. And I'll talk about that in a moment here. But first, I want to share the letter that EA Star Wars had posted on their Twitter account, and then the patch notes for the newest update. So they write, "We are aware that Star Wars Jedi Survivor isn't performing to our standards for a percentage of our PC players, in particular those with high-end machines or certain specific configurations." Pardon me. For example, players using cutting-edge multi-threaded chipsets designed for Windows 11 were encountering problems on Windows 10, or high-end GPUs coupled with lower-performing CPUs also saw unexpected frame loss. Rest assured, we are working to address those cases quickly. While there is no single comprehensive solution for PC performance, the team has been working on fixes we believe will improve performance across a spectrum of configurations. We are committed to fixing these issues as soon as possible, but each patch requires significant testing to ensure we don't introduce new problems. Thanks for understanding, and apologies to any of our players experiencing these issues. We will continue to monitor performance across all platforms and share update timing as soon as it is available. And then continuing that on, they post on their Twitter account today a patch, and this was May 1st, has become available for the PC version of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and tomorrow, which would have been May 2nd, will also be a patch for PlayStation 5 and Series X and S. We are hard at work on patches that will further improve performance and fix bugs across all platforms. There will be more updates to come across all platforms, and we will share that timing when it is available. And so it says for the PC patch that performance improvements for non-ray traced rendering will be there. And then for PS5 and Series consoles, it's going to fix a lot of crashing issues across various areas of the game, and that the PC version of the game has already received the fixes. And as by this point in time, the console versions have as well. Now for our write-in here, it goes to RK128, who consistently writes into our show. Thank you, RK. We appreciate you.
Salute.
Hello, Dukes. No witty titles for you gents to go around, with the gaming press being so, quote, fine, end quote, with the horrible performance of Jedi Survivor and still giving the game 90s across the board. Are standards that low for game releases now? Should we just be grateful that the game we spend $70 plus on even boots up on our consoles? With the horrific PC ports of Jedi and Redfall releasing on top of each other, what could be a solution to prevent this from happening? Have a, I guess Xbox is the silver medal console kind of day. And I also wanted to include Colton in this one as well, just to tie them both in, because they're both great write-ins. So Colton writes, are reviewers failing to hold devs/publishers accountable for releasing broken products? I asked this because Jedi Survivor currently has a fairly positive score of 78 on PC, despite being a miserable port that nobody likes. Reviewers seem to assume that the issues present before launch will be entirely ameliorated shortly after launch, and this is often just not the case. For example, EA and Respawn want us to believe Jedi Survivor will be fixed in a timely manner. Meanwhile, Fallen Order, the first game, still stutters and struggles with frame rate on PC 4 years after launch. Games that need patching often get many smaller patches over an extended time rather than one definitely, I know it works now, patch. The result is usually a game that runs better than it did at launch, but still is not how it should. Even in the event that all major issues are fixed, that news doesn't seem to permeate. Has The Last of Us on PC been fixed yet? I have no idea. The news story got old and people moved on. We need a better system for factoring performance into reviews. They can't be given the benefit of the doubt. And I wanted to talk about this a little bit because I did review Jedi Survivor, and I actually even talked about it on last week's show. And I love the game. Like, I think it's one of my favorite games of the year. I think what we're learning here is this a very similar situation when it comes to game reviews as Cyberpunk was. So when I reviewed Cyberpunk, funny enough, I was glowingly positive about that game too. So it's just, I guess I'm cursed, right? But I don't really care because again, I stood on my square for that. I'll happily stand on my square for Jedi Survivor because the reality is what happens is we will get these games in a current state. With Jedi Survivor, we got it pre-day zero patch. So there's the day zero patch, there's the day one patch. And during the review process, you play these games in what could be considered an unfinished state. Now, the assumption is that the patches will introduce improvements to what you're experiencing. But for me, the reality was what I played versus what I'm now seeing for the game is actually vastly different. What I played, much like with Cyberpunk 2077 before the patches hit, was way fucking better than the aftermath at launch, where then I hopped in following those patches. I'm like, this is a completely different game. This is a mess. This is a complete and total disaster. Same thing with Jedi Survivor. Although I don't think the PS5 version that I played was that bad, but I'm hearing from my friends, like the screen tearing is awful, the frame rate's super inconsistent. And while I had some issues with the frame rate, I mean, the gameplay is there for almost a 20-minute review. You can see for yourself, like it jitters a little bit, but it's never awful. It's never unbearable. It's never nearly close to unplayable. The worst I had were 3 crashes, which I address all of this. And other reviewers told me the PC port was bad, so I accounted for that in my review personally, but I didn't get hands-on experience with it. But what's happening is I think us as reviewers are learning that we'll review a product and that it can change days later with these patches. We learned that while it's not as extreme, we talked a lot about it on the show. Resident Evil 4 adding microtransactions after. No one's reviews accounted for that, but no one really cares because the game was already high quality. But when it's something like this, where you come out and you're very positive on the game, and then it's disastrous, it's number one, the product of, unfortunately, me is it, I'm not, by the way, I don't think Colton or RK are kind of coming from me, but I'm just saying, in my position and many others' positions, being an individual reviewer, I'm lucky if I get one code for one system, let alone I've never got multiple from other systems just to test. So unfortunately, I think a lot of reviewers are at the fate of particular SKUs and just how they're performed there. I like to review on PC because at least I can test my weaker PC, my here PC that's just at the office, which got 3080, much more powerful. And I can at least get a feel. With Jedi Survivor, it seemed like codes were being distributed differently, where they were like PS5 first, I think PC around the same time, maybe a little later. And then Xbox, they were like, well, the way codes are distributed like is different, where we're not going to get it for you until that point, like by launch. So yeah, it was really weird. So I was like, give me PS5. I want to start as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And so I think what's happening again is just the reality is these games change fast. It's not an excuse. It's just, like it's not good for me. Like I don't like kind of sitting there and just be like, it's amazing, I love it, and then seeing this happen, because it's like that's not the type of business I want to conduct. But what's honestly true is that's why I stick to my guns on these things, because like what I played wasn't fucking broken, and so when it's fixed,
it's real.
I'm still going to recommend it to you. Now, maybe less so, because I didn't anticipate the PC port, which I didn't experience, would be that busted. But that's what's happening to a lot of these reviewers. We're getting caught in these awkward compromise positions because for a lot of these companies, reviews are viewed as marketing. For those of you who consume them, it's your purchasing decision. But for them, they view it as marketing. So as long as we're, quote, covering the game, that's what they get out of it. And that's the job done for them. They don't care beyond that. That's the unfortunate reality of it. But, that's where I would come from on Akag. I'm just curious if there's anything you want to add on it.
No, you pretty much nailed it. I mean, we're in a different time now, and there's no excuse for it. I'm not making excuses for it. It's just that, unfortunately, even at lordsgaming.net, we'll get games, and it's just like the consistent thing is to get the press release or embargo stuff with acknowledgement of a patch that may come, that's going to be integrated, that may change your experience, the kind of thing. We have to be real about that. So I think the nature of the industry is changing, but at the same time, I feel really the PC ports, there's been a pattern. It's been extremely bad,
this year.
extremely bad. You know, we have that, obviously the Jedi, you know, we have that, a Redfall situation. We have the Last of Us situation, right? It's so many that I'm seeing now. And I really can't put my finger on it because there's a part of me that's like the development cycle starts at PC first. So now granted, tons of configurations of PC, and I have to be
what all the devs say.
I have to be respectful of that. And I don't know if it's a situation where we're in this weird part hardware wise where next generation, some configurations are just not able to handle it. And maybe these games are too ambitious for what the majority of SKUs are. That's the only guess I can have right now. Because one would assume, to me, this is my last point, I will always get nervous if someone's like, yo, I'm running a 30 whatever, and I'm still having wild issues. Yeah. Then I look at, well, how was that optimized? How was that developed kind of thing? But yeah, this is a growing problem. And the industry needs to come together. The people are spending a lot of money and to get bad representations of a product based on a review, it's tough.
It's particularly frustrating because Jedi Survivor is legitimately
amazing.
Good. So good, man. But yeah, like Scout's Honor, man. That PS5 version I played, not even close to as bad as what I've seen online and from my friends who have like streamed the game to me. I'm like, this is completely different. And it's insane.
Hold that thought. I got that thought for other things too.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that.
Let's keep moving then, shall we?
Keep moving.
All right. Let's talk about Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. We got some evidence that may suggest a 2023 release. Who knows? Because right now there's a brand new Game Pass ad that's out where all games within the ad are releasing this year or have already released. And then there's Hellblade 2. SoCog, SFish616 writes in, hey Dukes. Besides the obvious shit show that is Redfall, an interesting Game Pass promo dropped and included Hellblade 2, heavily hinting it could be dropping this year. If it does release this year, and if it's quality, it would greatly benefit Xbox because they need all the W's they can get. Just wanted your thoughts. I just want one great quality AAA game this year kind of day.
Preach it, brother. Preach it, S-Fish. Yeah, this is I don't know if it's strategic based on the result of Redfall recently, but we need, this is the type of stuff going into this year that I had predicted should happen as far as Hellblade. You predicted that. But as far as it's supposed to be the slam dunk year for them on certain things. So this was the hope that if you get this on top of the Starfield and everything that maybe we anticipate at a showcase, that it could end up being a great year. And then something happened last week, which has shaken people, and we gonna get into it. But no, to Fish's point, yes, this is what they could hope for, that this comes out this year, because that's the boost in the arm the Xbox community sorely needs right now.
Yeah, I remember Phil saying that he wants quarterly AAA games releasing in Game Pass from first party. And so if we were to really break it down, your Q1 was Hi-Fi Rush, your Q2 was Minecraft Legends, and really Redfall, because that was the $70 premium title. And then Q3 is going to be Starfield in September. And then what's your Q4? Forza? Yeah. Could be one, but we have some
information about that.
Maybe not, right? So I'm thinking that Q4 could be what we both predicted, which was Hellblade 2. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But yeah, I think it's easy for me to say, but I think it's time to start seeing this game, and the next time we see it with the release date, because I really want to see the combat. I want to see the release date. And I think it should be this year. It would just make sense. It was revealed with the box so many years ago. It just feels like, as a fan, from my perspective, it's time to at least have this bad boy dated.
We got to check the fantasies, because I think you're coming on strong lately. I've been fumbling the football. I think Redfall was one of a picks. I think you got Hellblade in there. Yeah. We got to recheck that score. Hodge, man, put up that score. I'm nervous. I think I'm losing my grip. I was dominating. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Last Case of Benedict Fox, was that on your list? Yeah, that's also not reviewed too.
Bruh, Hodge, get the scoreboard, man. Let me know how I'm looking in fantasy right now, bro. Maddie coming on strong.
The Forza delay, I don't know anymore, man. Delays used to mean a good thing, but I don't know anymore.
I know, right? That's true.
All right, so we got an update. Speaking of Forza Motorsport, this was one that was supposed to come out in the first half of 2023. It seemingly was delayed following the developer direct when we just got a 2023 window. And then Jeff Grubb, I believe, was the one who reported it had slipped a little bit, probably into the summer. And it looks like a Microsoft game dev account, the official one, may have suggested it is coming this summer, in fact, because Alan Hartman, the studio head of Turn 10, wrote, "Come on, Sunshine," with a picture of, I believe it's a Ford GT. I can tell, never mind. That's the the hashtag in the photo. But anyway, the game dev account quote tweeted and said, "Who else is ready for summer?" So that would suggest that by September, this game should be out. And I think our original prediction before developer direct and all that stuff was like, this was an April game. So based off our hypotheticals and what we'd seen, like that'd be a pretty reasonable slip a couple of months. But man, imagine now we just got to doom for a little bit. Just imagine this one comes in and it's not great. Like the burger, fries, and shake isn't reliable either. Like the same item you get on the menu is like they changed the burger, the type of patty. They got a new cook in the kitchen.
Don't you mess up on reliable. Don't you mess up my value meal. Don't you do it. This is what we're supposed to be able to count on, especially this one. So we see. You know, they say they're in the polishing stage.
Yeah.
You know, I would tend to believe that. These are those marketing like hints to get the hype train going. And like I said, the timing lately, got to pay attention to the timing of things.
Yeah.
In conjunction.
Who's ready for summer, baby?
Who's ready, baby?
That Xbox showcase. Starfield Direct. It's coming soon.
Hey, don't you worry about anything else.
Yeah, I'll do the next one. All right, just two more things, and then we'll talk about what we're all here for. Yeah. First one, Armored Core 6 is confirmed for an August 25th, 2023 release date. Game looks awesome. Yes. But yeah, this was a confirmed release date following the report last week from Tom Henderson. Cog, I'm curious with you laying eyes on it. I know you're not like the Soulsy guy. So was this one that spoke to you a little bit more? Because I remember last week that was something we got into a bit.
Yeah, it did. I finally got a chance to really take that trailer in depth. And the Transformers in me love mechs. Right. And the Titanfall in me loves mechs. So it's just a matter of how this thing's actually going to play. But what they have in the representation of the footage, because now, you know, you gotta be careful these days, man. You gotta be careful of things you see early. You know what I'm saying? Could not be representative of the final product. So, like I was saying, but I liked what I saw. I did like it. I got my eye on it for sure. It looked good.
It looks awesome. Last tip here on the list, and then we'll get into what we're playing. Wolong, Fallen Dynasty, day one Game Pass title at the start of March. I believe March 3rd was the day it came out. Has sold 1 million copies. Now, this accounts for all platforms, physically and digitally, worldwide. So, really strong performance for Wolong, which is awesome to see. The game was great. I mean, it was the Sekiro I wanted. You know, there were a couple of hitches here, there, a couple of bumps in the road, but this was a great one. I'm glad Xbox has that partnership. Maybe brought some success to the table where team up again. But, you know, we already saw Koei Tecmo was doing a survey for, you know, what other games can we bring to Game Pass? They had already had a couple there. So I'm curious what else they bring. But hopefully this means more day one Game Pass titles from them, because maybe we just one day, although they've shut down the notion of it happening soon, just one day Ninja Gaiden comes back. But Cog, Wolong, 1 million plus copies sold. How are we feeling?
I'm happy. This is good. This is really good news. And it showed that the Koei Tecmo and the Xbox relationship went well. You know, they talked about it initially, even before the information came out, why they went with Game Pass, you know, the engagement. And then I think there was some splits on the engagement as far as Game Pass being beneficial to the numbers. And that's good to see. That's good to see. And a lot of Game Pass players played that game. So look, this is what I anticipate moving forward, hopefully with more third-party games, as they intend to try to grow that service. They need to get that subscriber count up, and these are the type of things you need to do.
Excellent. It's time.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Time for the moment everyone's been waiting for here. Gotta dress for the occasion here.
Man, he got the flannel too. Oh, listen, y'all, for the audio listeners, my man, Mr. Matty Plays, is putting on the red flannel. There's a lot of significance to this. This is arcane pride right now, coming on right now. He got a lot to say. He's been waiting for this show, y'all. I think I just gotta let my man get off. I think I just gotta hear the good word right now. I think I just gotta hear the good word, let my man get off because he got the flannel. He ready.
No, I'd actually like you to go first because I feel like I'm going to talk for a very long while. So I just out of respect, I just really would really like for you to go get all your bars off. Not that you can't interrupt, by the way, but just go ham, go as long as you want because I just feel like that's going to be what I end up doing here.
No, I feel, quickly, I did, obviously Jedi Survivor, absolutely phenomenal. I didn't have a lot of bad experiences as far as my playthrough, per se. But look, this is a pure extension of the first game. And it's phenomenal. Cal, that's this right now. I'm still in the early stages. There's so much goodness they have added. Yes. So much, and then the skill tree after, because I just recently redid Fallen Order and went right in, and I saw
you did your homework.
Oh yeah. The differences are stark. Like going from it right after, you're like, oh my God, this is like a tremendous jump. And having the skill tree of the moves and the double jump and the things already there, and so good. So I'm going to get more into it deep because we know what we're here for. So that's basically what I wanted to say. Look, guys,
take your time. You got to say more. No rush. We're actually ahead on schedule.
It's phenomenal. And for those who are like, yo, how could it be? Put it this way: how could it get any good scores if it reviewed because of performance? That's a testament to how great this game is. Mm-hmm. This game is so amazing on what you're experiencing, all the things that you're doing, that it literally supersedes that in a way. Again, not making excuses that it shouldn't get any smoke for that. But Respawn is on it. I had Patrick Wren, the senior encounter designer on ILP. We broke it out. He didn't dodge the smoke for the performance questions. We went right at it. He didn't dodge the smoke for Halo Infinite. Remember the words he put out about 343, they should be fired and management failed. I say, yo, these are I literally read his words. I said, these are your words, but what you said about Halo Infinite. Now that you have time to reflect, do you stand on it? He said, absolutely, I stand on that. So that was just a sidebar for y'all. But anyway, Respawn's in the building. They did that. Go get the game. Go support the game. If you want to wait, though, if you're like, hey, if you're a PC guy, you want to wait, I completely understand.
Yeah, if you're on PC, you got to wait.
You got to wait. Console guy, it's not, I'm not experiencing that. Maybe like a level here. Of course, a little jitter here and there. I saw one thing, but nothing to the point where like, oh my God, I'm disgusted. It's early, but this feels game of the year-ish to me. I got to see how they ended. Now, Attic ended it and said, bro, you not ready.
That second half of that game, and you'll know when it starts, that second half of Jedi Survivor, I fully believe once people can experience it, these performance concerns, gone. Because the second half of this game is fucking unreal good Star Wars shit. But even if you don't give a single fuck about Star Wars, it's so good, so well done. It's AAA gaming, I think, at some of its best. It's insanely good. So yeah, Addicts is on it right there.
Yeah, he's 100%. He's on it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get to the main event and why we're here. And look,
WrestleMania, baby.
Ooh, boy, like this. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. Like, I was really depressed this week, but not for the reasons people think. Not because, look, a game being bad, I've been around the block. Games been bad all the time, B. Like, things happen. The problem with this, and I'm gonna be really honest here, God, I pride myself on giving the real to the people. I pride myself on that. You know what I'm saying? And like, we got the opportunity to preview this game. And look, I'm going to be real with you. What I played at that time, whether it was a vertical slice or whatever it was, felt solid. I'm not going to say
the write-in for that real quick.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's get right into that.
Let's go right into it.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean to interrupt your bar.
No, that's a perfect segue because we're gonna go right into let's do it.
Jay Mahel writes in, "Hey Dukes, can you address why the discourse around Redfall seems to have flipped on its head? Post-preview event, reviewers had reservations, but were overall optimistic. Then review embargo is same time as release, and well, we all know what has been said. Was the preview structured in a way to hide the pitfalls? Was the preview embargo too strict? Should we trust any previews before full release moving forward? How many pre-orders were based upon said previews? Sony may be too quiet for some, but I can feel you trust what little is said/shown. Xbox, I am not so sure. Having never owned an Xbox, but I am a Duke stan kind of day. We appreciate all the people who don't have a box, but they're still hopping there.
Love it.
Cog, sorry, I'm interrupt. Please continue.
Oh, thank you for that segue. Perfect. Look, I pride myself on it. So, we go to the event, Saul was there, whatever. We're told single player, didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, get in there, we play our character. Look, what I played felt like 60 frames. What I played was smooth. What I played was, the dynamic in a sense from, enemy density, right? The only issue I had, and I remember going up to a couple of the cultists, and you know how they're supposed to have that vision cone or the question marks.
AI was,
and I'm like, bro, you don't see me. I'm right here. Yeah. Like I'm out in the street, bro. Like, and I remember I'm like, they gotta fix this AI. That was my mind. I was like, gotta fix that AI. But on a base level, and I understood, me and you talked, you were like, yo, I'm concerned about the way the distribution of the abilities. It felt very short-changed. It felt very diminished. I respected that. I was like, my arcane dudes, y'all the hardcore. But ultimately for me, I was like, this could be a card game. Remember, I came in happy.
You've been more up on me since the showcase of the gameplay last E3, right? You were the one who was like, man, I don't know. I like it.
And I still felt like this could be a card game. You grab the homies up, open world, he go here, I go here. Cool. Then the reviews situation, how it starts happening. And again, I'm not trying to sound privileged or whatever. I know I'm not the biggest outlet, but I was like, damn, like, where the joints at? Where the codes at? We getting close. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Usually you get that little 2 week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get time. So I'm like, then it start as we get like the weekend before, like no one's got any word of what's happening. So then I find like the weekend before, and I'm like, nah, that's not a good sign.
Never a good sign.
Why are they giving them joints out so late?
Immediately when we made our low 80 Metacritic prediction, and then the codes the next 2 days start coming in late, I was like, oh fuck. I was like, this is not
like, what's up? So I'm like, all right,
cool.
Then we finally get it. Okay, I'm not gonna complain because I don't want to sound privileged. We get it like a day before. So I tell the homies, I'm like, look, I tell Log that we cannot in good faith put out a review because we got to finish this game, but we could do impressions and we could do some tips. So that's how we left it at that. So then Cog gets his hand on this game. And before I got my hands on the game, that's when the information started flying in. Yo, dog, this is terrible. Yo, you. I'm like, what? Like, I was just really blown away. I would think it would be more like, okay, it's not fun, or maybe I don't like certain mechanics of it, but not like this is the worst game ever. Right? That was the part that was perplexing to me when I was hearing it before I played it. So then I fired this up. I grabbed a home because I was like, I want to test it the way it was intended. Remember, I played it single player. We played it single player. I want to play this thing co-op. Grab up Addict, shout out my man DJ Orals. He was available. Let's get this thing going. I fired this thing up, man. Bro, this joint looked like N64/360 game. Like, bro, like I'm looking at my character's legs and we're laughing at each other. Like they're skating, they're not even touching the ground. They're doing this, the characters. Their legs are moving, but they're floating. I'm like, what is going on? And at that moment, I felt betrayed. I'm like, this was not the game I played. It didn't look this terrible. So to me, I did some research on digital, I think it was Digital Trends or Extremes. I want to give y'all the proper props. Who reviewed it on like a 4090 or something, right? And they were like, Redfall looks amazing at that, but the CPU utilization is way high. It's really an issue optimization-wise, and yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, because in my mind, I'm like, Addict, I swear to God, this was not the game I played, bro. I'm like bewildered. I'm looking at the Series X, bro. Like, what is this? Now, here's the crazy thing. the frame rate ain't really the issue to me. The issue for me,
I said in my review, I said 30 FPS is the least of the problems right now.
bro. It wasn't even that bad. Like when they run kind of extra fast, which is weird. But to me, it was just so stuttery in the way. It was like very disorienting on my eyes. I was just like, I'm going in the options. We sit there, all right, yo, turn the film grain off. Turn the head bob off. All right. To put the input lag to get it to a semi-decent state of I don't want to throw up while moving. So I don't want to go to because I know we got a lot of questions. I know I'm going long. I know we got a lot of questions.
No, dude, go. This is our main subject. This is our main course. Take your time.
I know questions are going to go for, but I'm just trying to explain to the people my bewilderment at this. I've not experienced anything like that. It was a completely different, and the console version is completely different from the PC version I play. So I'm curious to get your thing on because I believe you reviewed the PC version
on PC. Yeah.
So that was that. You get around like the UI is complete PC port. Like it's sliding, it's got the cursor thing. Then every 5 minutes, a UI prompt, it's blocking. You remember Xbox Snap when Xbox Snap used to come on and they used to like it's like Xbox. And I'm like, bro, get off the screen. All right, you told me to hint, get out of here. Like it's still doing that. The hit detection is off. The AI is even worse. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, yo, what? Who sat there and said, finished? Who was in the room and said, yeah, that's a fire, right? Yeah. Who said that? Like that's the thing. Bro, like how does this happen? And I'm like, y'all got me out here looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and we'll get into the depth of it, but it's just so disappointing, bro. Again, the level design and there's some parts where it tries to be fun, where you do the little
it tries to be fun.
It tries to, add a little. Yo, what I knew, bro? We walked for like 2 blocks. Was it one enemy?
You can travel half that map, 3/4 of that map at one time in my experience, and not see a soul. It's insane. Empty. The difference.
Desolate. I don't even know what to say. Like, this is really concerning. I like, man, we'll get into more deep, but I just feel like, bro, we got to call it. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but you got to understand this Xbox base has been through so much, waiting so long. And Patty, this game was delayed.
Yeah.
What the hell was it? What was it last year?
It's got Halo Infinite energy, right? What was it last year then? If y'all were going to launch it with the box and then you give it to us a year later, it's like, what was it last year then? Same thing here. Same thing here.
And look, I don't want to, because there's a discourse going on Twitter right now, and some of my brothers, they having fun with it. No doubt, God bless. I don't want to ever take someone's fun from something. But at the end of the day, if the majority of people are not enjoying, like, this is a real disservice to the nerve to put this out. Like, this is really that level. And I'm a positive guy. I don't like coming at people. But it really made me question everything. Like, now it made me go, what about Starfield? What about this? What about every bad, negative Xbox stereotype is literally ingrained into this game. And you look at this game, you have to look at Xbox different. I don't care if you're the most diehard supportingest fan of the platform. This will shake you to your core. Yeah. Seeing a game, this does not happen on Nintendo. This does not happen on PlayStation. I'm sorry. And the last thing I'll say, man, you know why it hurts so much is that anybody when the Dukes talk sports and Mets, y'all gonna learn how I feel to be a Met fan. This is Mets energy right here. Like, this is
everyone's laughing at you,
bro. Everyone. Not only do you fail in the most embarrassing way possible to a base who is loyal, who's been starving and waiting for success. This is not it. And it's at the point, I don't care whose fault it is. I don't care that it's Bethesda. I don't care that it's Xbox. Get it together, because here's the thing. This is like old school cog. I'm thinking 12, 13-year-old cog who didn't have a job, who didn't have resources, who could only spend for one console and one game. This is a $70 game. And I'm young cog in this generation who doesn't know about the Xbox 360 success, doesn't know about all the stuff. And I buy this game and I open this up. This is the game my friends will laugh at me. We laughed at people with Atari Jaguar Cybermorph energy. This is this. This is you know, when you remember, Maddie, you told that story and was it grandma got that game or whatever that game, and you like, oh, all right.
Battle for Volcano Island.
Bro, this is the kid got this, and he been waiting for this, and you serve him this, bro. This is not it. So look, the only thing I will say, last point, I'm rambling.
No, you're good. You're good.
Is that I would hope that this serves as a wake-up call to the relationship between Bethesda and Xbox and management and overseeing the release of quality games, because right now you are literally telling your base, why am I here? Why am I still here? Because if you're going to serve this and think this is okay, what is going on? And I'm really not trying to, I love all these guys. I love everyone there. I really do. Bethesda's one of my hearts. Microsoft, clearly. But this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. Get it together, because you're going to see things like, it is so pins and needles. It's so palpable, the negative energy. This is exactly everyone's worst nightmare as far as what could happen.
Complete validation of the fears, man.
Yeah, and that's what I'll say. I'll leave it alone. But go ahead, Maddie. It's flannel time, baby. It's flannel time.
It's flannel time, ain't it? Okay, so I want to start with the preview thing, because I think it's fair that gets addressed first. Defining Duke Ultimate, our episode with me, Yusuf, is out for free. This is why I always try to push DDU to do free stuff when it makes sense, because to me, I had that foresight where I'm like, if this blows up, because there were signs in that game to me that were like, I said in my preview, I said, I'm not going to react yet. I said, I'm going to wait for the full product. But there were signs I was like, we need to have our word out now. This needs to be public. So if we got to cover our ass, people can actually go and listen to the shit we had to say. What I'll say is that I'm right there with Cog. What we played and what we got, even on PC in my experience, feels night and day. The population of the world, especially jarring. Really the lack thereof, especially jarring, where I was like, what the fuck did they give us? Now, there are various development builds throughout the process, and I'm guessing we got a different build on a mega powerful PC, because there was one point when you leave the fire station where the hitch in frame rate was awful. And I called it out in my preview. I was like, it was terrible. But I said, you know what? Again, I'm going to give them the reprieve. Why did Arcane get that? Because they fucking earned it with top tier 10 out of 10 video games back to back to back to back, and Dishonored 2, Death of the Outsider, Prey, and even to some Deathloop. While I've had my criticism, we'll talk about that. Oh, I got fucking bars on that one. Don't you worry. But still, even me as a critic of Deathloop can look at that and see shades of Arcane in there. I think it's an inferior Arcane, but you can see it's them. And heading into Redfall, after that preview, I was like, okay, I saw shades of it. Not enough to feel out the level design, but in the readables, in the world building, I was like, there's something here. But the expectation with your preview is there will be more built on top of this, because you get a 2-hour sliver. Oh no, that 2-hour sliver was the whole ass video game, if not less, really, when you start to have that loop sink in. I think, to me, yeah, Xbox leadership, and we'll talk about who's to blame here in a moment. My biggest disappointment really does lie with Arcane. I don't care if it came from the top of Bethesda during an era where they're like, we got to make a multiplayer game. This should not have been made. Fallout 76 was your lesson. That was 2018. That was your lesson right then and there, to say, fuck, making our single player studio make a multiplayer game is really going to go south for us, especially when they got to work on Unreal Engine instead of their usual. Wow, that's really going to fuck us over. And they do it anyway. unbelievable lack of foresight by Bethesda on that they not only had one big catastrophe and ruined the studio image for Bethesda Game Studios after 4 fucking Game of the Years in a row. They did it again with Arcane. That's fucking unreal. I can't believe they did that. So that's where a lot of my frustration lies, because I think Arcane could have really pushed back and said, yo, no, like, look what just happened. This game should have never been made. And I'm going firm now because I'll be the first to admit I softened up as time went on. I was very firm on, I don't know about this when we saw the gameplay. I right away, check it out. Post E3 2022, I was like, I'm not feeling it. And then they started talking about Far Cry, kiss of death in hindsight.
You did.
There was shit I was seeing the whole time. I'm like, I don't know. But again, that's where we have genuine faith in these developers, because they prove themselves time in, time out. And that if Arcane wants to go and do something different, they can. But this game, it's purposeless, not because it's bad, but because it's not a live service game. It's a barely functional, I don't know what game. It doesn't necessarily go into co-op. It doesn't go into single player. There's a number of conflicting designs where I am fully of the mindset, and it's just a theory. They were in the middle of this shit. They said, fuck it, move on. Just start working on the next thing. Give them this. We're going to deal with the PR blast. We'll be back later. And I truly believe that. I think the next game from them will be Deathloop 2, which I expect to be a great game. But Redfall was not it. Just to get a little bit into my thoughts beyond the preview, though, the final product, the main issues I had, AI was broken. The quests sometimes broke. The world was vacant. The vampire diversity was awful. I was shocked at, when you have a special enemy type, how they didn't explore that at all. Like the underbosses to clear out districts in the game. I'm like, oh, a mini boss. Like, yeah, attach a mechanic to each of these. Make it fun. Nope. It's just the same bullshit constantly, man. It's unbelievable how low the quality bar is for this game. When you look at the cutscenes in Redfall.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
When you look at those cutscenes, when I was looking, I was like, I had to squint at my screen and be like, what is this shit, man? What is this? If you look at just the first minute of Prey, where you're in the helicopter and you're seeing an Arcane Austin production on, I think it was the Golden Gate Bridge or some shit like that.
So fire.
Oh my God. The difference in production value from the same team. I know Rafael Colantonio's out,
right,
but this was an Arcane Austin game. And yeah, we're learning the importance of leadership, but look, man, I'm not pinning it on him solely, but Harvey Smith was behind this. This dude was behind Deus Ex, Dishonored. This is, to me, one of the goats in immersive sims, and I do not feel his fingerprints on this game at all, because what was most disheartening, again, it goes back to Arcane, is there's no positive takeaway for people because the elements of an Arcane video game are sorely lacking or not there. Dishonored 1, 2, Death of the Outsider, Prey, we always talk about the elements of the world building and the gameplay and how special they are, but what we never really talk about is how they're actually good stories. They're actually legitimately good stories packed into these with choice and consequence. And the fact that in Redfall, there's no complexity in the mission design, there's no complexity in the interiors, no various intricacies, and they've been swapped out with lockpicks and rewire kits that are scarcely used.
Good point.
It feels like a completely different team made this game. And Bethesda, Arcane, Xbox should all be fucking humiliated for daring to let this grace any platform, let alone their own. The fact that, let's move on. Hold on.
Don't get him.
Let's move on to Jez's article here, because this gets me to point 2. Mm-hmm. Jez writes, and this is, by the way, a number of quotes in his latest article, because a lot of people have wondered, like, who do we blame? Is it Matt Booty? Is it Phil Spencer? Is it Bethesda? Who is it? Like, what happened to make this game launch in the state? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't checked the OpenCritic today. Last time I looked, 65, 2 points away from Crackdown 3, which is the last time the fan base, I think, was at a tremendous low. We were like, man, even Crackdown 3, you fucked up? That's where we're at right now. So, all right, Jez's article, number of things we got to point out here. I've been told by multiple sources that Xbox was entirely hands-off with this project and that the game doesn't fall under Xbox Game Studios director Matt Booty's responsibilities. Because rightly or wrongly, right now, Arcane is not an Xbox Game Studio by internal definition. Microsoft purchased ZeniMax a couple of years ago, earning itself franchises like Fallout, Doom, The Elder Scrolls in the process. Microsoft has been eager to maintain a level of independence at the studios it has acquired to help maintain those studios' cultures and expectations. Increasingly, though, I think Microsoft and ZeniMax both need to realize they are now linked and the actions of one reflects on the other. Oh, I got a word on that. Give me a moment. Acquisitions are difficult. Mergers are harder. And despite what pundits online say, Xbox and ZeniMax are still integrating. To call what happened to Redfall teething problems is probably an understatement, which is a great pun, by the way. But like it or not, it's absolutely true that Redfall flew under Xbox's radar. People have been asking why Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer didn't delay Redfall, or why Xbox Game Studios lead Matt Booty didn't ensure a basic level of quality. ZeniMax is still operating as a separate entity, for better or worse. ZeniMax has a completely separate process for developing and shipping games, and it wasn't within Matt Booty's remit to be handling Redfall, as well as the several other Xbox Game Studios that are under his purview. Booty's role is to handle franchises that are internal at Xbox, including Age of Empires, Flight Simulator, Forza, and so on. Spencer oversees the entire business as a whole, and speaking completely realistically, it shouldn't fall on him to get the minutia of every single game launching under the brand. In any case, this isn't a defense of Microsoft, of how Microsoft has set up its internal game dev studios, nor is it a criticism. I'm just relaying the current facts as they are with regard to how integrated some of the teams are. The question we're ultimately exploring here is, should Microsoft create a stronger pipeline for oversight, or is a happy medium between oversight, support, and independence available? Because it is absolutely true that everything that occurs within the Microsoft gaming umbrella reflects on the public brand, and that is Xbox, and Xbox is hurting now. We'll move into a write-in here from Alex Dice Twice, and then I'll just share some more thoughts and kick it to you, Cog. Alex writes, "Hello, Dukes. It's clear that what we all want to talk about. With the seemingly failure of Redfall, is it time for some management to take the responsibility? Is it time for Phil and Matt Booty to call it quits? The Spencer era has clearly not delivered in games as much as he had hoped, and this doesn't bode well for the future of the rest of exclusives. Cheers." There's so many angles to go at this from. I trust Jez, so I'm happy to tee off with this angle because he has not been wrong, and I don't think he's wrong here. But there's so many angles to tackle this from that my head is spinning. I want to start off with this, okay?
Let's go.
If y'all are not internally tied, right, you're separate. Bethesda's operating separate from Xbox in a way to maintain independence. Meanwhile, as you acquire Activision, you go, they're going to answer to me, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer. If that's the energy you're going to have, you're going to expect fans to expect that you have some level of control over what these studios, at the very minimum, are about to put on your platform. So I don't think it's fair to solely point at Phil, who's got a ton of shit on his plate, and I think is responsible for saying like, hey, Xbox was going to die. And like we introduced Game Pass and like now it's here. So I'm not ready to call for his jobs. I just know people aren't ready for that talk, but no. What I really have a problem with is, again, this is a tougher finger to point because I don't know who it's directed at. But if y'all are internally separate, if internally Arcane is not viewed as an Xbox game studio, here's my question to you. What the fuck was the Xbox Bethesda Roundtable? What the fuck is Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase 2 years in a row? Why the fuck are you ending your shows with their games and calling them, for Xbox fans, exclusives? If it ain't yours, don't act like it's yours. If there's this internal separation, if there's a split there, why are you claiming their shit? The reason I say that is because I think it's greatly problematic. And now, because they've been so desperate, because it's been so bone dry for them, they needed anything, and they took Redfall. I mean, I saw Jeff Grubb say the other day that what happened with Redfall, apparently there was no faith in Microsoft's leadership. I typically believe, Jeff, I have a tough time swallowing that pill. Why they concluded their show in 2021 with Redfall will be beyond me forever now until we get an actual answer from someone in Xbox or Matt Booty. But in all technicality, if Matt Booty is severed from this, right, and we're looking at like, okay, he's overseeing just the internal Xbox studios. We are talking about Publisher of the Year in 2021. And I think Halo Infinite withstanding, they've done a good job internally measuring things. But the absolute cluelessness, the brain dead level behavior I'm seeing here. Whoa, wait, you're telling me Redfall impacts our company's when you bond yourselves so closely together on everything marketing, yeah, to celebrate Xbox and Bethesda becoming family, here's 20 games and back compat via Game Pass. Here's the exclusives you've been waiting for. You're building your box around Starfield, and now you're telling me that you're not directly involved with Redfall? What the hell is my expectation for Starfield? Are you not going to quality check that while you market the fuck out of it to us now? Is that what we're supposed to expect? Because now I'm already playing Redfall, and I'm like, if you let Redfall go out like this, I'm worried what Starfield's going to end up like.
Valid.
I'm just urging Xbox, because I know people from their company listen, and I got love for y'all, but this is a special circumstance. If I understand mergers and acquisitions move slowly, right. This is a special circumstance where if Starfield is out of sorts and you own Bethesda, you might want to make your way into the building and really quality check this one, because if people are reacting this way to Redfall, where people were already, a lot of folks are hitting me with the, I've always been like this energy, but now people are going, skeptical into the launch following 30 FPS. If that's the response that Redfall garnered, can you imagine what Starfield will be like if it's less than stellar? The quality check it's not a question. I don't have any sympathy. I don't care whose fault it is. It's non-excusable. The wake-up call shouldn't have had to happen with Redfall. And it's exactly what I said, that Redfall had to walk so Starfield could run probably.
Yeah.
That I cannot believe I'm reading verbatim. It's absolutely true that Redfall flew under Xbox's radar. What? Under your radar? You guys didn't check this shit out at all?
Yeah.
I will stop there because I don't want to. I'm very aggressive with my teeing off compared to you.
I'll let you get your voice off. You got
to the who's to blame, right? To the finger pointing, to Matt Booty, to Phil Spencer, Cog. I'm just curious, of course, where you stand on that matter, where this doesn't seem to have received the proper quality checking it should have.
Look, there's no excuse. We can't dance around it. We can't sugarcoat it. There's no excuse for a game to come out lacking that amount of polish. And here's the thing, shout out to Jez. I got love for Jez because Jez, he be on it. If this is the case and they are still operating independently, then you need to fix your pipeline. You need to fix that process, because here's the thing. What that indicates to me, and excuse me for being disrespectful, is that, what's going on at Bethesda? Who in Bethesda said that this is okay to release in this form? And that's the first step, right? So it's like quality control. You go against this assembly line, you put things together. All right, guys, here's what we're presenting. Someone was supposed to say, nah, that's not it, right? So it's either one, you have no faith. You knew this game was what it was.
If the embargo timing wasn't anything to go by, it's fucking. I haven't seen that since, I think. Well, technically it was Doom, but I didn't review that. But right. I think Assassin's Creed Rogue was the last time we saw a game with an embargo at release or around the release date timing. Sorry, go on.
No, you're right, and it's like someone knew at some point the state of this game. At that point, a critical decision has to be made. Do we release this game at the risk of our reputation, destroy our sales? And then the third thing is, once the decision is made, right? So let's just say they go, you know what? We done spent too much money on it. For whatever reason, they didn't want to cancel this, right? Clearly, this is the type of game, let's be honest. Some studio, you get canceled. Like, this would be a closing down. That would be that studio's last game. If this was under any other circumstance outside of Bethesda, outside of Microsoft, they would be like, oh, you put that out, they bombed, they're out of here, right? That's how it generally goes. So to me, that's the first sign. The second thing is, okay, let's just say the budget, and you like, no, it got to come out, right? So if you're Bethesda and you say it got to come out, to your point, Maddie, Microsoft's been marketing this game. Marketing. This is coming. This is part of
Don't get me started on the fact that the marketing trailers for this game versus the cutscenes are embarrassing. The fact that there's fully animated, like there's character-specific trailers, like Layla sitting there, she's talking, she's got personality, versus the shit that we got just blows my fucking mind. Sorry, go on.
The key, no, bro. The thing that's hurtful to me is the first 5 minutes, and I got some still watercolor no animation, no cinema. That screamed of the production value right then and there. And I'm like, whoa, I've seen indie
Which we
games
didn't see in our preview, by the way. We did
exactly.
not see any cutscenes.
None of that was there. So we were under the impression we're going to get that Prey energy. We're going to get that vintage arcane immersive feel with cinematics and tell a story. So right then and there, it just screamed budget. It just, to me, I was like, ooh,
yeah,
this doesn't feel high quality, right? So again, now we get past the quality point of Bethesda. Xbox, how do you not know where the state of this game is, right? Because it seemed to me, if I have to be honest, that the 60 frames per second or lack thereof seemed like a surprise. It felt like this is last minute, like you're just getting this information now. And this is the gift and the curse of hands off. Because I get it, and I want to be fair. In order for them to acquire a Bethesda, to acquire an Obsidian, right? The talk was, yo, you can't go over there because you know they be meddling. Look what they did to Fable Legends and look how that studio, right? So I get it. On one hand, Microsoft is saying, look, we can't be meddling, right?
Fair.
So you know what I'm saying? You let them rock. But on the other hand is where we are now. Because at that point, when they ready to serve this to the people, right? You supposed to jump into that fast food line like, bro, put that Big Mac back. That's not it. Oh, that's undercooked meat. You're going to get us sick out here. No, no. So at the end of the day, that's where the transition has to change. The pipeline has to change. You can't have them complete. Look, at the end of the day, look, you own them. Period. Now, I'm not saying you got to be a dictator. You got to come in there and meddle and meddle.
Them. No one's calling for that.
But again, at the end of the day, when they're ready to say, hey, guys, number 1 with Frank and fries is ready, you supposed to come in there and say, hold on, all right. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And if not, oh, no, look at this. This is spoiled. No, like, we can't do this. And that's the chain of command. So even if it's not Matt, even if it's not Phil, and we get it, Phil is not even, he's removed from all of that. But at the end of the day, no one cares because they're going to say, this is a reflection of you.
Yeah.
That's just how the world works. It's not fair. It's a they're going to say it's a reflection of Xbox. It's a look, they forced them to do that. Look, this is like, that's the talk that's going to happen. And here's the problem. You have this whole inconsistent history. You had a whole 2022 with the dependence on this studio as a whole, but its publisher as a whole, to pull you through. Right now, granted, here come the ABK deal or whatever that you was trying to, you had maybe all your resources off the board. But at the end of the day, where's the contingency plan? That's what people are going to say. They're going to say, where's the contingency plan? Then they're going to get to 2023 and go, okay, we waited. All right. And you serve this, you lay this. Again, it is such a slap in the face for the loyal, for the people who want you to see. No one wants to sit here and talk bad about y'all. Nobody's doing this for the click. I'm not. I like the brand. I like the platform. I want Arcade. I thought this was a great investment. But what this showed me, there's a deficiency in the pipeline and the quality control. We got to be honest. That is considered mismanagement.
Yeah.
We got to call it what it is. That whoever's fault, y'all better get in this room. And one side, whether it be what's the fate of Arcade or, hey, what's the fate of this game? And the other side is, hey, we're Xbox. We have Game Pass. We have this. Here's the other thing. Now you also create this narrative that it's okay to just throw anything, any old burger undercooked on the drink. Oh, it's Game Pass. Oh, it's Game Pass. Yeah. It's free. You can't complain. We'll fix it later, guys. Go ahead, though, but you free. Nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Nope.
You have to establish here's the other. It's so critical to the service because if you want people to stay in this service, you got to have good games. And again, these people are smarter than me. They know this. So all I would say is there's clearly a disconnect. And I think if I'm Microsoft, one would have to assert a new protocol that anything that gets put out has to be seen by us on some level. Because I've heard the stories at Sony with Barlog and some they didn't like the God of War vision. In the beginning, they had to send some things back. He had to.
We heard about what happened with KOTOR Remake for a way more recent example. they didn't like it and they canned it pretty much.
Bro, we've heard these stories and it's okay. You're still, at the end of the day, this is Xbox's reputation at the end of the day. And that's the part of the relationship that has to synergize better. The only positive I can say out of this is one would hope. Like you said, what was the expression? Redfall had
the walk so Starfield could run.
Because Starfield could run. Bro, if you do this to Starfield, you thought the confidence in the brand was at a low right now? You're putting way too much pressure on yourself for the showcase to be great. You're putting way too much pressure on the Starfield team to be great. And you're in a tough situation. We just got to be honest. Look, through all of this, I'll say something positive for God. Through all of this.
That makes one of us.
I know. I'm probably the only positive thing I'm going to say here. Through all of this, I still stand on my square that this year is supposed to be the 8 out of 10 year. Because conventional wisdom would say, in this showcase, you're going to have new things to show besides that last 12-month stuff. Conventional wisdom would say Forza should be a great game. Conventional wisdom should say Starfield, by the A team of Todd Howard that was delayed already, should at least be an above average game, right? And then the hope is that you have something else in addition. If it's Hellblade and it's great, and let's say it's Hellblade and it's Ninja Theory, to me, it's set up for you. Stop fumbling the football. Stop stepping on the rake. Redfall, as Maddie said, should not have come out. And to be honest now, I don't even think a delay would help, because fundamentally, it just feels like it's a year away, 2 years away. This feels like an early access alpha.
It's not an exaggeration to say that.
Bro, let's just call it, right? So it's just like, that's what you got to do. You got to stop the self-inflicted wounds. This is the problem. And you're forcing people off the platform. You're forcing people to go, yo, why should I be here? They treat me like this. They serving me like this, bro. That's it. I mean, I'm pulling for y'all. I'm still standing on my 8. I'm still standing on, hopefully, an ABK deal. I know that's another long shot. You know what I'm saying? With the EU. But it ain't looking good for me. It's looking real spooky for me. But I'm pulling for y'all.
Yeah, I think for the reason this was such a big blow to the confidence in Xbox is because the assumption for so long, and there are examples, has been, okay, the new Xbox, when you work with them, when you're acquired by them, they're going to help to make your game better. So we heard that with Psychonauts 2. We got boss fights because of that. Boss fights are great in that game, by the way.
Yeah.
Wasteland 3.
Voice
acting. Game was kind of broken at launch, I'm not going to lie, but amazing RPG. But voice acting and all that stuff like really helped get that game to the finish line, right? So those were inherited Xbox games. Let's say, and it's been said, Redfall followed the traditional 5-year development cycle. So by the time the deal was officially done and the Bethesda roundtable, all that stuff, was the top of 2021. So you had 2 full years to make this your own. By that point, the game is pretty much designed, going in a direction, and you can still have a positive influence in funding. Yes, contract work. I know it's an icky word for Microsoft now after Halo, but truly contract work, if we need more help here or over here, to get the game to a better state than where it was at. To me, the message this sends is right now, y'all's involvement isn't helping. And a lot of people have these high and wide dreams about what will come of if the deal were to go through Activision Blizzard with Xbox. And you're telling me now, let's say again, we believe Jez's report, 2 years later, you still don't have a pipeline established to talk to Bethesda? And you're buying someone else now? That's damning, dude.
Valid point.
That's damning. That's bad management too. You're shopping before you even opened all your toys, is what I'm hearing with that. You're a spoiled little brat, is what I'm hearing. That's unfathomable to me. Because if you establish that pipeline, what it's going to be like, took your time, had your positive influence on these teams, not let it fly under your radar, which, again, unbelievable, and then start shopping again, because you've got to build the consumer base. Because you know what I'm seeing a lot of? Take that Activision money and reinvest it in all these studios. Don't even go for them anymore. Take that money, pay your cancellation fee, your Microsoft wipe $3 billion out of the bank account, and go reinvest.
I just want to push back slightly. I feel you on quality control, and first, you're absolutely right that the argument to acquire anything looks silly based on how they can't control their own house. I get that. The only pushback I will say is that because of 2022 and the over reliance on Bethesda to save the day, right, showed me that the pipeline needs games. And clearly the first party is taking very long, right? And they need to fill out the gaps. But to your point, which is overall correct, right? Which is overall like, how can they even think about buying anything if they can't manage what they currently have? And look,
thousands of employees.
I can't argue that. I can't fight that. I just know their pipeline though. They need content for if the model is this service, you need content. These studios ain't producing fast enough, clearly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the only pushback I'll say, that they still need to acquire. But to your point, and everyone has screamed mismanagement, I really don't have too much of a fight back. Because at this point, if you let something like this happen on your watch, in fairness to you, Maddie, Redfall is an embarrassment and it would not happen anywhere else. So I get it. And this is the situation they put themselves in. It's getting to that almost indefensible part.
Yeah.
Because they keep giving us examples of them utilizing mismanagement.
Yeah. The problem here is people were excited for Redfall because I think one thing that started to sink in was like, oh, this is a new Xbox franchise, maybe. Like, it doesn't have to hit a home run necessarily off the rip, but what does a Redfall 2 offer? What does a Redfall expansion offer? Like, what is that content going to look like? How does Xbox build off of it? And everyone's like, put it on the shelf with Dishonor and Prey. Like, get that the hell out of here. Like, what's next now? Because it's that bad. So it's the other thing is that Xbox has struggled to build franchises. And when you buy these companies working on new IP, I always go back to the back of the box thing. Or in Xbox's case, what they probably care about more is what do you put on the Game Pass advert, right? What is the face of the character on the Game Pass advert? And how does it sell the proper quality bar that you're trying to reach for in this service? And I feel like if you look at a game, it's like, oh, Redfall's in Game Pass, and you look it up and you see this discourse, that doesn't help your service. We'll see, of course. I think the player count will still be solid because people are still playing it, but I don't think anyone's going to stick around.
No, agreed. Now, I want to be, because Kyle, I got to be fair. And I got to shout out my man. We had him on before, Anchorman V, when it came to Fallout. This is hardcore Bethesda. This is my, like you, this is Bethesda to the core. He bleeds it. He got a tweet, and I have to be fair. He said, this is Bethesda overall game releases from, actually, not Bethesda, but Microsoft. Game releases with Metacritic scores of new acquired studios from 2020 onward. Deathloop, 88 meta. Psychonauts 2, 87 meta. Ghostwire Tokyo, 75 meta. Grounded, 82 meta. Pentiment, 86 meta. Hi-Fi Rush, 87 meta. Minecraft Legends, 71. And then Redfall to 63. So he says, basically, Arcane had a misfire and we're all panicking. And the only reason why I do feel in perspective to the rest of the teams, you know what I'm saying? That is a little fair. That is fair. I will say that. The only pushback I will say to my brother, because I think, man, that's the homie, is just that the timing of this couldn't have been any worse. The timing of this from a 2022 to now. And then here's the other thing. We got to talk about another elephant in the room with the Deathloops and the Ghostwire Tokyo. With the other issue we're seeing is the performance being better on other platforms. And that's another thing that's concerning to me with the Bethesda pause, because I got to be honest, how does that happen when you've had a year of exclusivity to one platform? Now it's a year, allegedly, or more time for you to put polish and extra thing for the Xbox version, which is now your home, quote unquote, console. And that wasn't. So that's my only pushback there. But I did want to say that just in fairness to the studio. But your thoughts.
Yeah, the problem with that list is great. And it's not something that we should undermine. That's why I'm saying, like, in all technicality, Matt Booty's job shouldn't be threatened, because if his job only entails Xbox Game Studios, he's done a good job, right? That is the reality of it that I don't think people want to hear, especially now. I get it, right? This whole controversy has a lot of sports team energy. Like, you got a bad head coach. You missed. It's literally the Rangers right now. You got a head coach who got you the conference finals last year. This year, the team looked dead on the ice, didn't want to be there. They lose in 7 to a team they probably should have beaten. Everyone's like, who the fuck do we get to blame? This is outrageous. And it's a fire in New York now. So, people are looking for someone to blame, and I think the coach is going to get blamed, right? So I know people don't want to hear any defense of Matt Booty or Phil, and I think ultimately there is responsibility deferred to them. But the problem really, to me, lies in delivering. This isn't a just one style game, but a quality AAA product.
AAA, yes.
Okay. Outside of Forza Horizon 5, and I'd say to a lesser extent, Halo in some extent, which I know a lot of people don't like to hear. Like, oh, you're beating up on 343 again, man. Fuck yeah, I am. Yes, absolutely, because of the way they did the post-launch support. But at launch, you look at those two, you're like, okay, this is the kind of AAA quality bar we can expect. Now, no one anticipated the post-launch support because the early release of Halo Infinite suggested this thing's really ready to go.
Yeah, and at its core, it was good.
Yeah.
At its core.
Right. The problem is, outside of that, how do I word this? Xbox fans have this problem where they make the sideshow the main event. Look at the new Xbox Design Lab controller scheme. Really? Look at the new background on Xbox. Really? This is what we're getting hyped over? Are we that bone dry out here? And so then a Pentiment rolls around. You know how much love I got for Josh Sawyer. One of the better games of last year. Pentiment is not going to move a fucking console. It might move a couple of subscription services, but no one's going to look at Pentiment and go, oh, I need an Xbox. That's not going to happen. Grounded, a couple other sideshows combined, maybe so. Moments like Redfall are so important to the platform because they're going to move units, because it's a major AAA, although it doesn't look or feel or play like one, AAA exclusive. This is not an inherited multi-plat BS score we're posting with Psychonauts 2 and Wasteland 3, games I both love, but come on, these are not nearly, people got to stop lying to themselves. They're not, and I'm tired of the politics in the industry. They're not as fucking important as a game like this. This game has true meaning to the ecosystem, to the service, to the platform as a whole. And the failure goes across everyone for not recognizing that. By that, I mean Xbox, Bethesda, Arcane, for not recognizing the importance of it. But I'm tired of Xbox fans getting out the pom-poms for stupid little shit that doesn't matter, like controllers. Let's focus on big AAA games and give them the heat where it's necessary. This is not, by the way, against Anchorman V, but pulling out review scores, to me, that doesn't matter right now when your AAA exclusives are not landing. As much love as I got for Grounded, Pentiment, and what Obsidian's doing there, what's really going to be the talk is if Avowed nails it, for example. No one's going to give a shit about Pentiment, or no one's going to give a shit about Grounded, maybe less so. If Avowed is amazing, if Avowed is bad, that's going to be the conversation. That's going to determine Obsidian's legacy. These games are not equal. Someone's got to say it. Since I'm kind of in my heel turn role this episode, I'll be the one to happily say it.
You're preaching.
I'm just tired of the game playing, because I've taken my shots before, right? Multiple times on the show. But now is probably the best time because people are willing to listen and hear loud and clear this new era of like, oh, a new background. Like, this is news for. No, it is not. You deserve better. We've just been given shit for so long. Now's a collective ecosystem wake-up call.
But Maddie, you're dooming and glooming. That's all you do. You just spit out negativity, and it's not as bad as it is.
I know.
But the question,
I'm setting myself up for that. But
they cover. But I do want to ask you. One thing about me, I always, much if I complain, and I do try to offer solutions. My question to you, Maddie, is based on where we are right now. Let's talk about back on track with Redfall. Do you think they should, because I've heard multiple thoughts on this. Some people are like, it is such a stain that you need to walk away from this. In terms of like, when I say walk away, in terms of like support, right? Usually games like this, they come out, and it's like, okay, we're going to have title update, and we're going to do this, whatever. And then, rebuild. Like, are you of the mindset that Redfall in its current state should continue to be worked, updated, saved on, or whatever? Or do you feel fundamentally to its core that it's so bad? This is the comments I've heard too, that it's so bad that there's nothing really that can be saved, and you might as well just cut your losses, and that's it. Maybe a minimal update here on stability, get safe, deliver to 60, and then move on. Like, where are you at? Because the reason why I ask is because we're getting to that point where it's like that Crackdown 3 energy where the game is like in meme level, sadly.
Yeah.
And is it one of those things that maybe they just can't overcome?
I think it's very easy to say walk away, but I think it would send a really bad message if you did, because the bad message has already occurred, right? Like, you dropped this game, you were okay with it existing. That's bad enough. I think, it's one thing with the post launch support, like they're planning new characters and stuff. I think that should be a TBD, but getting this game functional where it works, where it runs, is the bare minimum, so that heaven forbid someone dares to download this to their Xbox or their PC on Game Pass, they may have a chance at an okay time with it. I said it in my review, and it's harsh, but it's true. It's much of what I said with 76, where no patch, no update can fix the void of creativity here. There is nothing unique really happening in Redfall. Actually, Carrick said this, and it's a great line. It makes you wonder where the effort went. And
I did see it.
And it's a great way of putting it, because it makes you truly wonder where the time was spent, whether it was the tech. They mentioned it was the pandemic game. We've seen much better games launched during the pandemic, so I'm a little less sympathetic to that, though I'm understanding of it. But I think you got to get this thing at least up and running. I think, it's easy for me to say as a fan, but I really do believe people have now had their fears vindicated, where it's like, okay, you know what? This didn't look like your typical Arcane game because of the multiplayer. You've tried it twice now. I think you dodged a bullet, quite frankly, with Deathloop. You got hit with one with Redfall. Lesson learned. Go back to what you're known for. You got Game Pass now. You're officially a part of the Xbox family from start to finish now. I don't want to hear another word about, we're still establishing the pipelines, bro. No. That is if I were there, that would be kind of my rule of thumb. Not because I don't want Redfall to succeed. I just feel like, look, they'll see the internal data. They may see a great player base and continue to support it, and that's it. And if so, more power to them. But I think for morale, because like Harvey Smith, like, look, man, this guy does not direct these types of games, man. This man, I hate to say it, but he is above that. Like, move this man's talents to the thing that's going to count for the ecosystem. Yeah. Do not drag him down with the 65 OpenCritic. Like that, I'm sorry. I know there's a team effort here, but this man should be, it's the same thing I said with Todd Howard, Brian Fargo, Fergus Urquhart, Josh Sawyer. Like, let this man go and do what he's got to do. Luminaries. We're out of this, if anything, is maybe the end of that window of Bethesda games where your Wolfenstein Youngbloods, your Fallout 76, your Redfalls. This should be it should have been done. They should have canned it after what happened with Fallout 76. But I digress. Again, easy for me to say without seeing the metrics. They should have canned it, though. This should be the end of that arc. Heaven forbid it's not, but this should be the end of that arc. But I personally think you hang around to make it stable. I think otherwise you got to get to the next thing and remind people why you're great, because again, this is that 76 moment. They have made so many good games, Game of the Year contenders, just like Bethesda Game Studios did, where they won 4 Game of the Year awards. And all it takes is one catastrophe to shake that confidence, because you see the trend, right? With Fallout, from Skyrim to Fallout 4, you saw a focus on shooting and looting. You're like, not really what I play Fallout for, but there's a lot of the spirit still here. That's the Deathloop moment, right? Not what I play Arcane games for, but there's some of the intricacies in the environments. Okay, it's kind of there. And then you got your 76 Redfall, which is such a unfathomable departure in every conceivable way from anything this team has made, that you wonder if it's actually the team that you know and love has worked on it. And that sends a very scary message to the devs and to fans. And so I just think, it's time to shift over.
Yeah.
As soon as possible. I think, though, if you really want this game dead, you cancel that post-launch support. But since it's not a live service game, man, what is the point in hanging around with? That's the thing they emphasize. No microtransactions, and certainly, Lord help them if they drop them in now, right? Right, and Lord help them they drop them in now.
They would know that, but we do know that they're alluded to like paid DLC characters or more additional characters.
Yeah,
from my understanding,
and that's the thing I'm saying. Like, if they see the metrics not supporting it, it'll probably put the game in its grave a little bit sooner than it's going to head there, but. That would be my 2 cents. I would say, if you're not seeing the metrics where it's like, oh, we got a lower player base than expected, and it's not reviewing well, let's just make it stable and move on.
It just sucks, man, because there's times that I'm like, man, if this thing was polished, man,
I don't agree though. Sorry, go on, Matt.
No, I mean, but me and you are different on this. This part I know this is not you. I'm talking about co-op COG. There's moments when I was like, damn, what could have been, they just have pieces of a game all over the place. But I was like, but what could have been for co-op COG was there. And I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have to go back to Black for Blood for this. But because you know what it was, like, bro, like it was something to me that I'm like, all right, I'm on the other side of here and I'm doing this and y'all doing that. All right, I'm gonna circle back. There was parts of me, I'm like, damn, the concept, but they couldn't. It just seems like they couldn't put together what the core focus of the game was. Was you trying to be narrative and tell a story? But clearly ain't doing that with no cinemas and no whatever. And then, the gunplay, are you a looter? You know what I'm saying? What are you? And it's just, it doesn't have that cohesive identity. Because there were parts to me, I know this is going to sound like blasphemous, but there were parts to me when I was going into Vampire Nest and I'm like, damn, I could see some things here. There was like remnants, pieces, but it just couldn't come together. And it felt like a pitch, right? As opposed to a full thing. And that's what it felt like. And I'm like, there were parts of the pitch that could have been, but you got to commit all the way. And they just ended up trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. And then then the performance on top of it was just, oh my God, like I can't. So,
to me, the big frustration, I saved this for later just because, to me, like, I know less people care about it. I jam my review with it because it's my personal view, but like for the podcast, I know there were more important things for us to talk about. But for me, like one of the big disappointments beyond performance, beyond even the creativity and the gameplay was really the lacking exploration. I think that, like, as an Arcane fan, that stings because, sorry, go ahead.
You just real quick. What bothered me, I'm just glad you said that, was in the demo we played, there was a part where I was able to go up into a roof, go into a house. But what bothers me is there's so many locked houses all over the place. Like it felt like forced accessibility, like only in specific areas, in specific moments. Like I'm like, this is my playground. Let me rock. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like they were hand holding me and putting purposeful barriers to stop me from really fleshing it out. And that's why I felt, I'm like, damn, I think I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Like it's not fully explorable in that sense.
Yeah, it's that, but it's also, I personally, it's funny you say that because I actually didn't mind the house count and how they broke it up. I understand some are walled off because they just don't have probably the memory space to do that. To have that all done. But for me, it was more like, okay, you're going to a main mission area. Like there's a big crane overarching in a crater, or there's a big church. And no matter how gargantuan the structure is, there's the front door, the back door, and the roof. And the missing component here is the various ways you could get through, right? Like when you have an immersive sim, there's the key cards. Who's holding the key cards then? What's that person's story, right? Like that whole conduit, that connection, that chain of reaction, it's all missing. Things like, okay, why is there just lockpicking and rewiring kits? There are just so many other ways I could explore the environment. Good point. Also environmental manipulation. These things could have been just retooled, like, oh, you found a turret. Retool that and use it for your own. It just feels, again, so much like a completely different team made it. This is going to be cold, but it's amateurish, man. Amateurish. Like it's very much like, who let the intern build the levels? Like what kid did you bring over the summer to help build this game? The Arcane D team? Like that's truly the feeling I had. I'm like, this does not echo. This feels like someone's trying to maybe lightly emulate arcane games and just cause here you go, here's a test build of it. And just like that to me, when you, again, we'll talk about Dishonored later, but like when you play Dishonored and you see the pipes you can crawl through, even in the Xbox 360 days, by the way, the pipes you could crawl through, the amount of rooms you could go into and the ways you could enter them and the ways you could tackle missions. We went from turning into a rat and crawling through an obscure pipeline to just using the front door in Redfall. That's the biggest fall from grace I've seen in a hot minute, man. And as an arcane fan, that's the best way I can put it. It's soul crushing, truly, to explore this world. I wanted to talk a bit about Deathloop if you had anything else to add.
Yes, please. No. Okay. I'm good. Mm-hmm.
Kyle Todd writes in, hey, Maddie and Cog. I'm just coming off of watching a few Redfall reviews. Maddie, you take some shots at Redfall's bad AI and state that part of the reason it is that way stems from the praise of Deathloop's AI in reviews. Do reviewers really have that much power? To follow up, Maddie, do you feel vindicated as a Deathloop hater? Do you think reviewers might love this game did you think reviewers might love this game as well? Cog, how does Redfall strike you? Will it be a compelling addition to Game Pass after polish and bug fixes? Thanks. And I guess I'm waiting until September to resubscribe kind of day. There it is, Kyle. There it is.
Shout out to Kyle.
Yeah, obviously we got to address
your question.
Deathloop.
Yeah.
Just a hot.
Let's go. This is you,
right?
Let's get it.
Do reviewers have that much power? To an extent, yes. This goes back to what I said about us being viewed as marketing. When we convey a certain message to consumers, it's that chain of communication, right? And consumers can buy into that and hold on to it as a reason why something exists the way it does. So when I saw, by the way, everyone throwing on the flannel, I'm starting to see a fucking eerie amount of, Deathloop wasn't really that good anyway. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to toot my own horn here. I'm really not stroking my ego, but go ahead. Take a seat on the bench. Let people who've been saying this from the start handle it. I don't want your reactionary opinion in the discourse here. I really don't, because that's the problem with video games.
In the gym?
Yeah. No. Sit down on the bench. Let those like myself, Carrick, Skill Up, G-Man, who've been saying from the start this shit was busted, handle the conversation, because we've been there from the start. So do reviewers have that much power? Yes, because when I see people posting tweets like, it's a part of the game's combat puzzle. You don't want to be playing against, tough enemies. What? What's the point of stealth if your enemies are not a threat? I'm not saying make them wizards that teleport behind me and chop my head off. I'm saying make them functional so that if I dare get in their path, they may have a chance of seeing me through the vision cone. That's what I'm asking for. But the amount of defense and jumping to protect Deathloop, probably because reviewers got a little ahead of themselves and threw out some awe-inspiring scores onto the game and had to defend themselves, otherwise looking like a complete embarrassment to the industry, is why, to some extent, we are in the place we are. What is my example of this? Let's talk Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is a game that came out, many critics came out, gave it very high reviews. User score, probably a little bit lower, very fair. A lot of issues with the game came up over time, but the game was pretty buggy, right? A lot of people defended it. It's Bethesda, it's fine. The games are so interactive, it's fine anyway. Fallout 76 comes around. Fallout 76 had bugs from Fallout 4 in it that you could look up on the Fallout 4 forums, the wiki, to find out how to fix, because people leapt to defend this and it excuses the effort level that is required to go in and fix this. If they don't got a problem with it, what are we going to do? It's just there from the last game. And that's why it's not solely, and nor would I ever try to attempt to paste it onto just the reviewers, because it's not. That's ridiculous. There is a degree of responsibility for developers to recognize a problem and just go after it. But yes, reviewers do have a power in how the conversation can go. There's absolutely a way it can go. And of course, the consumer, the one reading, watching, they have a place in the conversation too. It's not to put them at the bottom of the totem pole, because there are many times they punch up and go above and beyond, and companies have to bend the knee, as we've seen before. But there are moments here where something like AI is such an invisible thing to people that those who have either worked in games or worked on games are familiar enough with it, and that we've seen the discourse in the comment section on YouTube, for example, Twitter. Not probably the best place unless you want to get brain rot, right? And so when you see something like Deathloop come out, which had broken AI, Arcane very quiet on the matter as the press leaps out to defend all of this. And then their first patch has improved NPC behaviors and pathing and action.
I remember when you said that.
And I'm like, it wasn't busted, huh, guys? It's in the first patch of the fucking game after release. That's strange.
He's spitting right now.
My point being is I'm not a Deathloop hater. I want to make that clear. I said it's underwhelming compared to what was delivered. It's not a bad game. And I'm sorry, I apologize genuinely if I did sell it as a bad game. I go hard on it as a joke.
Yeah, that's what people think. That's why they go so hard back at you. They think that you say it's a bad game It's the
discourse that pisses me off more, but I go hard on it as a joke. I should make that clear more often.
You go hard at the 10 out of 10 dudes.
Yeah. That's on me, though. I take full blame for that. It's a good time to make it clear. I don't hate Deathloop. It served to me as a scary sign of where Arcane could go. And in that sense, yes, I am vindicated.
You justify. You just know, bro, this is you.
100%. Because I was afraid of this. Did I ever think it would be that bad? No. Based off my 80 Metascore prediction, clearly not. Because I, again, have a lot of faith in Arcane as a team that even when they swap positions, they'll be great. But that's my little... that's my... Oh, you're going to give me flowers? Okay.
I give you flowers. Instinctually, you felt it. And that to my core, you felt this could be dangerous because that to your core, you felt they were betraying the essence of who they are. And remember, I always told you, I got that. I got that part. I understood that from someone who loves a studio for something very specific that only they do with a style that's unique and, and flair and immersion. Mm-hmm. And that was the key I got from you. He's like, immersion, man. I'm telling you, these games ain't nothing like what they're known for. And you started to see the slip. So no, this is your flowers, bro, because at the end of the day, it's justified. At the end of the day, we're here. And this is the result. Regardless, this is on the resume, and you can look back. You see, I told you guys this was what I was worried about. They went away from their core essence, and I think that's justified. I don't think you're wrong for feeling that, and I happily bend the knee on you on this one.
Well, I appreciate it. I don't want to act like I didn't soften on Redfall at certain stretches. Some of the trailers did get me. I think they got us all.
No, but even the
preview, I was like, okay, like there's some things here. Like I like the exploration at first. And I like the amount of readables. I was like, oh, that's great. Because I didn't think, for example, the readables would be the only storytelling. Like, that's the thing. So, sorry, go on, though.
Facts. No. It was just that. It was just like, seeing it play out the way it played out. But even when we went to the event, I was like, hype. I was like, yo, so single player, right? He's like, all right, okay. You need to pay attention. It was one of those, okay, I'm at least try to hear you out. But I always felt your gut was like, yeah, I don't know, but I'm at least hear y'all out. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. And you were proven right. Like, that's just it. I one thing about me, I'm never ashamed to say when I'm wrong. And you got this one right, and I got this one wrong. I thought that this was going to be the COD game, multiplayer, and they would have a semblance of a solid narrative, and they would pull off something. The reason why I was so disappointed, I wanted a co-op game to truly have a story, and that the idea of that untethered world in vampires and cool and polish. And I just thought at bare minimum, the polish wasn't even going to be the issue, right?
You're not, not to interrupt you, but you and no one should be at fault for being excited for this game at all. The resume speaks for itself. You should not have to say, I'm taking it out for this one. Even again, me, like while I was skeptical, I was like, getting a little worked up because I'm like, it's Arcane, man. Like they only come around once in a while. Recently, we've seen them a little bit more often with Deathloop and now Redfall. But yeah, man, like I don't think you're wrong for being excited. And again, just last thing, and you'll continue. It's a testament to the marketing. The marketing sold us a completely different game, not just 60 frames. That aside,
thank you for saying that.
But the animation quality and the characterization was so good. I mean, hats off to the marketing team, man. Y'all did a masterclass. Masterclass.
I was like, yo,
that, man.
Yeah, at minimum, I was like, it'll be a solid, okay, we just got to see how the rest of the things land. But from what I play with Sun, so to get this, the console version, and now, again, the lesson I learned is, and I will say L on one thing, The lesson I learned was, yo, the console version, what are you going to be running at? Because at the end of the day, that was PC, and I made the assumption that is the exact experience we would get with the series consoles, and that the part was the most jarring. Because, bro, when I fired this up, it was like
gasoline on the screen.
It was like the old okie doke was like, here you go, here's yours. And I'm like, it was one of those. I was like, wait a minute. Nah, this wasn't what I played, bro. You got me looking spooky. That's how I felt like it was the old okie doke. And I was just like, man. And that's why, like, that, bro, that vertical slice was excellent. Like
in comparison, yeah, definitely.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? We'll take a little hitch there, here and there when you came out the firehouse any day for what we.
Oh my god, yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
Did you play this console version yet?
No, dude. I beat the PC game in 12 hours. It was such a short game, by the way. Just want to throw that out there for anyone.
Yeah, you tell me
short game. And I didn't bum rush, by the way. I need to make that clear. I did all the side content. I found quests. You have to do the side content to beat the game.
To beat the game.
But beyond that, there were a couple of fetch quests you could do, and they're very quick. It's a hollow game at that, which is like, to me, the most stunning part. I mean, it just reeks of like there was a major problem in development. I hope we get answers on that one day.
I hope we get answers. We gotta wait for that Schreier expose. Somebody gonna come out with it. It's gonna come out. This is making
Schreier get to work, bro. Jeff, Jez, someone.
He's gonna get Jez. Schreier's gonna get it. Somebody's gonna get it. This is too high profile. But yeah, I did want to say that part.
Yeah, 100%. Is there anything you want to add to Redfall where we talk about what's next for Arcane? Because that's the last part of our conversation.
I guess for me, it's just like, look, I'm never about getting people fired and stuff like that. But again, if we're going to be real, right? If they weren't under ZeniMax, they weren't under Xbox, and this was a game that people were anticipating, and they released something like this, these are the type of stories in my history that studios don't survive from, and generally end up becoming a support studio. Or, you know what I mean? And I hate to say it because these are legends in the game over there. So I think, honestly, what's next? I think from my understanding, Austin split from Leon at one point.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm glad. Thanks for correct. So, like, yeah, this is. They clearly knew that this was what it was, and it was just the decision to get it out. So I think moving forward, if they're going to exist, I can't see it in a major way. I just got to be honest. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
wait, real quick. Sorry, we had to write in. I know you were going to leap into it. Sorry, we have a write in.
Please go do the write-in.
I misread where you were going with that. I didn't know.
I thought you was asking. Okay, no, go for it. Let's do the transition.
Kai writes in, "Hey Dukes, is this curtains for Arcane?" Okay, obviously that's an exaggeration, but it's clear to see the higher ups have got involved and altered Arcane's formula. There's been an attempt to make a studio that's always been a critical success, a commercial one. I really like that line, by the way. Very well said.
Yeah.
And the result is Redfall, which will likely be neither. So what next? Are they given the leeway to make a sequel to Prey or Dishonored? Do they go back to Deathloop and try to build on that solid foundation with more solutions, scope, and freedom? Or do they do something new in the hope that they can produce a more mainstream success? Thank you for writing in, Kai. We appreciate you. Cog, continue.
Yeah, no, all I was going to say is, like I said, generally these type of situations don't end well. So for me, it's either dudes move on or you are now relegated to support status. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't see, the only way I can see that surviving, to be positive, is if they told Bethesda higher ups, yo, we need more time. We're struggling with da-da-da. And then Bethesda higher up saying, yo, it got to come out. And then, it's like, all right, we got our next concept, and then we're going to have the time to deliver and execute in a now post-acquisition world. So that's the only thing. But I got to be honest, I don't really feel any positive news. Remember, Leon, no doubt. Mm-hmm. But Austin, I'm a little worried. I'm going to be honest. These, I've been around the block. I don't see these type of scenarios and people are okay and it's fine. Like Halo Infinite just went through, what I'm saying? At least they had a core solid, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you drop the dud, bro, it's hard in video games for someone to come back and say, okay, guys, what's the next one? Like, bro, that's a hard thing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. What do you think?
I think this is where, I got to give Deathloop its flowers. 5+ million players, of course, with Game Pass and PS Plus. I think PS Plus, I apologize if I'm wrong, but I know Game Pass for sure involved. Yeah. But that was from 2021, September when it came out, and the numbers were released February 25th of this year. So I think this is where a success like that, whether I liked it or disliked it, is very nice to have in your back pocket because it's recent. It shows that people were willing to play a thing that you made that was more akin to your style of game. And I do think it keeps them, I know it's Leon, but I think it does keep them out of the support studio role for sure.
Okay.
I'm not personally concerned about that. I don't think, I think, again, I still believe if they're still establishing the internal pipeline and they're not considered an internal Xbox game studio as of yet, I think the worst message you could send is, oh, that flop, that game that we didn't check on, guess what? You're working on COD now when we get that. Like, that would be awful. I don't like Redfall at all, but like that would be cruel among cruel. I personally can't see that being their new role. I think indeed Arcane should go away for a while and start cooking on something with the new resources they have available to them. Because it's clear outside of marketing, it wasn't used very much for the game itself. But I think this is where I think Deathloop 2 is next, undoubtedly. And I'm actually curious on that because if they do expand that formula, I think it's deeper than what you actually see. It's not that kind of what I would define as smoke and mirrors. I do think it could be amazing. And I'm very keen to see what they do with it. But since the voice actor of Colt Vaughn already pretty much leaked that they're doing more Deathloop, that's a shoo-in. That's pretty much a guarantee. I don't know if they say, all right, we didn't get the sales we wanted with Dishonored. We didn't get the sales we wanted with Prey. We're going to pull one of these off the shelf now because Redfall didn't do, and we don't even have the data yet, but let's say, assuming it didn't do what they wanted to do, I don't think they're going to pull off a franchise that financially failed them. That seems like that option went away. And the reason it went away is we covered it last week. They said, Rafael Colantonio said they had a choice between Dishonored 3 and Deathloop, and they chose Deathloop to be the smaller game because the financial struggles were becoming real for these companies. Now that it's not so real, or at least you'd hope it is, as what I thought would be an internal studio, I think Deathloop 2, and I imagine another new IP for Austin. I really do. I don't, unless they do a Prey 2, but I know there's going to be some shaky confidence because Prey is marvelous. And there definitely was a bit of a sequel set up for sure.
I'm just confused because I was under the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that Deathloop was not Arcane Austin.
Correct.
So again, with Arcane Austin, are you saying like for them to go back together with Leon?
I think they work on the same projects. Like I think one heads up more of it than the other. Does that make sense? Like Bethesda Game Studios still helped out with Fallout 76, although Austin was leading the charge, is the understanding we have of that project. So I think it's the same thing here. I think Leon was involved with what's going on with Redfall, but with Austin's project in Redfall, but Austin was spearheading. It was the Austin game.
Right, I got you.
That's the way I'm understanding it.
Okay, so they kind of, there's a potential that they could work, they co-work, but one takes the lead.
If it's like how we've heard with other games, like Tango Gameworks made one of the enemies for Doom Eternal. So that's not it, obviously. So Bethesda works in an interesting way where they help each other out, from my knowledge. Like there's someone whose job is to I think at Bethesda Game Studios to provide lore to the Elder Scrolls Online team. So they seem to have a pretty interesting setup across their teams. And that's what I get, what Xbox wouldn't want to disturb, that type of stuff for sure.
Right. I get that.
But yeah, I think it'd be very foolish to take a team like Arcane after one drop, one dud, and say like, yeah, you're going to go work a support for Leon. Because to me, like Leon didn't really prove much either. So like, what,
but they got the hit though, man. Yeah, come on, they got the hit. They got the finance.
That's a personal take. The correct, more objective take, I still don't think it would be wise. I really don't. I feel like so you got too much talent, right? You want to split the egos, by the way, too. This is a good way to do so. And just kind of let the creative ventures speak for themselves. And I think with Xbox in your back pocket, I would just assume this would be a good time to really, really make use in partnership with your new internal friends to make a new IP funded from the ground up, because the tool set is there for both Unreal and Void Engine. It's just about expanding that in meaningful ways and getting back to what you're known for doing. And whatever they do next, obviously everyone's going to have a very close eye on, but I don't think this means it's curtains for them. I think that would be, I know the main reason they probably bought Bethesda was to get Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Starfield, Doom probably, but I think it's a mistake if you don't take advantage of the talent that's available at Arcane. And I think they should actually go and make one of those smaller games, like a Prey Moon Crash kind of experience, which is like shockingly really good. I'm not a big roguelike fan, but that's where I'd sit on it. I don't think they should be rolled into support or anything like that for one studio or the other. I think it should just, it's a big misfire. It's a damaging one, but I don't think they should lose the privilege to make great stuff, because I still believe they're capable of it. This just something's foul in the water here with this one.
I'm not saying that now. I just want to be clear. I don't know. You know Bethesda better than me. I just go by how, if this was anyone other than Bethesda and this was independent from ZeniMax, historically these situations don't go well. So I'm just curious because, like to your point, they've had this history where they had stuff prior to this situation with Redfall, where they had some good stuff, and it's just like, okay, maybe they just reset kind of thing. I'm curious. I'm pulling for that.
Credit with 76, that was an easy drop, really easy drop. Granted, that was structured to be live service, so there's a difference there, but they did hang with it, and I think it kind of rewarded them. They've monetized the fuck out of that game, but also there are some changes they made that are positive. Like Wastelanders was awesome. Some of the extra Brotherhood of Steel storylines they added were great. So there is kudos to Bethesda for sticking with things that may not initially to people be worth sticking with. Right. And that's why I said I think with Redfall, they're at least going to stabilize the product. I think they have enough pride in that. But yeah, I don't think they're going to, they've certainly had, like, they didn't shutter Arcane Austin into just support. Like they continue to lead that project. So after 76, or I'm sorry, did I say Arcane Austin? Bethesda Game Studios Austin after the release of 76. So to me personally, I feel like, this is one of those situations where I don't think it's going to result in them losing anything except a lot of pride. That's for sure.
I'll defer to you on that, man. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope, like I said, you're the Bethesda guy.
I appreciate the trust. Is there anything else you want to throw into this conversation with Redfall? It's been a long one, but it's been we covered a lot of the bases.
Yeah, we covered the basics, and again, my overall take from this is that I hate that we have to learn lessons this way, and I just hope that the overall take of this is that pipeline, that communication, that quality barrier has to be remedied. And I understand hands-off approach. I understand Bethesda, the way they're doing it. I understand the transitionary period. I get it. But your reputation is at stake. And this service that you are trying to promote is at stake, because you then start to get into a quality control service kind of a thing where it's okay to put an average to mediocre product in that. And that doesn't behoove anyone. That doesn't benefit anyone. So to me, this is a critical juncture. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm still standing on my square. I'm still positive about the rest of the year for Xbox. I still do. As crazy as it sounds. But at the end of the day, this is not doing any favors. And this type of moment cracks and breaks people to their core as far as belief in the brand. And I don't want to see that happen. So please use this as an example that the meetings, whatever that transition that needs to happen, happens, because we don't want to see this ever again.
I never thought in all of my time hosting podcasts, making videos, that a video game would bring out what I would call New York sports Maddie, like that F-bomb every other sentence.
Yeah, you weren't playing. I was scared for them.
I never thought it was possible, because at the end of the day, I think I have a pretty cool demeanor. I'll joke around, but I think I'll be straightforward and serious, but I don't think I've really popped off on Bethesda like that since 76.
I've never seen you this angry.
But like, it's just like, it's disappointing, man. That's the thing. And like, yeah, of course it's heightened because I love Bethesda. I think they have some of the best developers in the world, man. Still do. But it gets, like you said, Cog, gets really hard to defend you guys when you do shit like this. And not that I'm going out of my way. I happily give them the smoke whenever, but I do think sometimes their criticisms are unjustified. And it's the situation where I'm just like, help yourself out just a little bit. Just get into a 70 on Metacritic at least. But they don't, man. There's much to be said, though, Cog, about Starfield, the showcase. We still got a lot to talk about in the future of Xbox. So the conversation technically continues on, but that's it on Redfall. Let's move on to some of our listener inquiries and then the news, if you will. Austin Clements writes, hey, Dukes, as a non-Xbox gamer, I was pretty jealous when Xbox bought Bethesda and took away one of my favorite publishers. If Redfall and Starfield were great, I would have immediately bought an Xbox. But now with the mostly negative reviews of Redfall, I will definitely be staying away from the console. Does Redfall's release make you guys concerned for Starfield like it does me? I need an excuse to buy an Xbox, but I can't seem to find one kind of day. This is the energy. Y'all, if y'all are patrons, just take one look at the Defining Duke chat. It is doom scrolling in there, man. I've just been having so much fun with the gang there. It's so funny coming in, dropping a little meme and then just leaving. It's so funny how doomy it is in there. But, Cog, this is where the conversation is taking us, right? The future. The implications of a Redfall release, what it means for Starfield, its quality level, and now knowing, based on what Jez has reported, the workings of the inner pipelines with Bethesda and Xbox, do you feel concerned for Starfield after you played some of Redfall?
I mean, you wouldn't be human if you don't feel any concern, right? I think that it did have that type of a jarring effect. You know, after I take a step back and I look at it and I go, okay, that's them. You know, this is Todd and this is the team. You know what I mean? So there's a part of me that says, all right, Cog, it is different. And, you know, one would hope that, again, that they use that as a learning experience. So, you know, I still feel strongly about Starfield. However, I'm not going to lie to you that it's like this little thing creeping. Remember Redfall? It's going to be there now when it wasn't there before, when I was 100% gung-ho that it should be what it be. So I'm standing on the Starfield square, but yes, I completely understand Austin's point and a lot of people's point who want to buy in, but are like, nah, fam, I need to see the execution and that it's safe to go in the water before I just blind faith this situation. And I respect anybody who does that.
Yeah, really well said. Because I just feel like the pressure on Starfield now following Redfall is insane. I said this in my video talking about the pressure Starfield faces. And you know that clip of 50 Cent where he's like, what are you saying fuck me for, right? Like, I feel like that's Todd and the team. Like, what are you saying the pressure's on me now, right? Like, why us? But that's just the nature. I think they're just learning like, oh yeah, like we're connected. And
and like, this is a marriage.
Yeah, this is a marriage. This is serious. And Xbox fans are not happy. And they are now looking to the one that they have chosen. I said this a while ago. I'll say it again. Like, there's no disrespect to Redfall or Arcane and their efforts as a team. But I mean, I guess the disrespect was already done. But really, I mean to the team itself.
we passed that part.
We're past that part. When I say that, I mean that when you look at Redfall and then you looked at Starfield side by side pre-launch,
yes,
the ambition for Starfield is very clearly above and beyond what Redfall is offering. I know it's very easy to say now, but I was saying that before we had hands-on, before any of that. Xbox fans have selected Starfield, right? You don't got much of a say in this. They have picked the game. This is their game that they are excited about. And Xbox has seemingly selected Starfield to be their game, right? The one that they build the box around. You open the show with it. Big gameplay preview. You build the box around it, right? We're definitely going to see, I'd imagine, a huge marketing blowout following June. We have a full direct dedicated to this game. That's the prestige it carries. A full developer direct following an hour-and-a-half showcase that could likely, and I know some people call it extreme, but truly could likely wipe the games they just showed up out of the conversation.
Absolutely.
It literally could. That is, so both sides have selected, this is their game. And now, because of the release of Redfall, following the delay where expectations are high and they did not meet the quality bar, it's just that feeling is amped up now. Xbox needs to understand that. Bethesda, unfortunately, needs to understand the expectations are high. This is your, I'm going to say it, your console seller. This is your back of the box placement. This is your Game Pass mover.
Yes.
I have a lot of faith in Xbox Game Studios when it comes to Hellblade, Avowed, Fable. There are plenty of great things coming in the pipeline, but make no mistake, the pressure was always on Starfield to be that game. I don't think a great Redfall would have offset a bad Starfield. It would have helped, but I don't think it would have offset it. But now knowing in this year how doom and gloom it's been, now how clearly disconnected the internal operation is, the lacking of quality checking that a big AAA exclusive that you marketed, that you put in front of fans could release in the state it did, that you were okay with that, sends a bad message. And there's more fear than anticipation for Starfield right now. And that's not good. Now, I know the average everyday consumer coming in during the commercials come October baseball are probably going to sit there and go like, oh, that little space game looks cool. They're out of this conversation. This is where we got to recognize the bubble a little bit. When people
for sure.
see the developer direct who are not in the average gaming circle, hopefully it looks good, by the way, and I'm saying it under the assumption it does, that zeitgeist will just be solely in our little bubble of like, I don't know about Redfall. They'll be like, Red who? What? I'm talking about this, man. How are those connected? So we got to acknowledge that the heightened concern is from us gamers, but there are a lot of us. And there's no doubt that there's an impact when that concern is real, and that if the wrong message is sent, you may not get as many Game Pass subs as you're looking for. You may not get as many sales as you're looking for. Phil Spencer said, and I quote, "I want Starfield to be the most played Bethesda Game Studios game." Played, not sold. Mm-hmm. If that is your goal, this needs to be the Elden Ring moment, which I was very confident on saying until now. I was very confident in saying this will be the game that takes over the internet. Hey, Redfall's having its Elden Ring moment. Everyone's talking about it, just not in the way you want. I'm talking about in a positive light. But point being, Xbox needs to collectively take a breath, recognize the flaws in the pipeline, and prepare themselves. And if this game is not ready, if there is a hint, that may sound dramatic, but a hint of doubt, like, that performance, if there is a hint of doubt, oh man, it's going to stink. And here's the thing, right? They had their window to drop the news that Starfield will be 30 frames. What is it going to be like now if this game does not have performance mode? And they're like, yeah, like they had their window. I think that was a good time to drop it after Redfall, before Redfall comes out. But now you have the 30 frames, then the bad release, then you're going to see Starfield again. Let's say after that, they're like, yeah, it's 30 frames. People are like, man, this nightmare is about to repeat twice in such a small window of time. I know I'm going on a lot here, but point being is I really do think as I was playing Redfall, I was sitting there and thinking to myself, like, how couldn't I be concerned about Starfield?
Of course.
How couldn't I be concerned? Before we knew about what Jez reported, my initial true organic thoughts, if you will, was solely, you delayed both these games out of the year at the same time. You gave Starfield the extra delay. And Lord knows what kind of state it is in when Jason Schreier had said this was shaping up to be the next Cyberpunk if it launched at the time frame it did. Is about a year, a little bit less than enough? Mm-hmm. All I'm saying, man, Bethesda's got to read the room. If it's just that broken chain of command, then it's on them to read the room and understand clearly if this needs time until next March. Xbox fans, I don't want to hear a fucking word out of you about y'all got to deliver games. If they need that time, we need to be understanding and let them have it. Let this, unfortunately, be that lesson. Now, me and Cog have been team delay, but I'm taking the disappointed dad energy, if you want to call it that, where it's like, listen, son, I know this may not be what you like. You may not get your Starfield in September, but God damn it, if you want a good one, you're gonna have to wait. So, am I concerned? Yeah, a little. Will some of my concerns possibly be eased in June? Can the game look phenomenal? Yes, but unlike outside of Fallout 76, any other Bethesda game studios launch, I'm going into this one optimistic, but very skeptical at the same time now, because it's just such a precarious situation that they found themselves in. And it'd be foolish to ignore it.
Absolutely. Still, same thing. I'm still optimistic about the title and what it represents, my excitement for it. But at the same time, I'd be ignorant to not acknowledge what just happened also and have that in the back of my head. And that's, like you said, that's the unfortunate situation they've put themselves into, period. So
we got one more question, Cog, and then we'll talk about the news here. Gregory Halatchevsky writes in, to the Dukes, first time writing in. Welcome, Gregory. Thank you for writing in. With the advent of the Redfall reviews, I simply have one question. Why choose Xbox this generation? I have a PS5 and a PC and listen to you both simply for your excellent podcasting ability. Thank you, Gregory. We appreciate that.
Oh, salute,
I am burping so much this podcast. Holy smokes. The reason to choose Xbox cannot be simply that there are good indie games on Game Pass. May you have a realization that the PS5 delayed Xbox 2 years in its corporate plans kind of day. Cog, I feel like this is a great question to try to answer. Just a little thought exercise, right? Because we're in the thick of it. It's been a negative show. There's no doubt about that. We're not going to deny it, but I think, we got to match the mood here, and certainly it's how we feel. But from removing yourself from the Redfall situation, just in through your nose, out through your mouth, take that deep breath. And I'm asking you in the elevator, why am I here? Why am I here? What do you say to the uncertain Xbox fan that keeps them aboard this ship and not committing mutiny?
I get this question all the time, and I just tell the truth. First, I say, what type of games are important to you, or what are the styles of games that you like, right? And a lot of the time, some people say, hey, the AAA kind of a banger stuff, right? And, I'll say, hey, these are the games that are considered the top Xbox games, right? And which generally fall into the burger, shake, and flip, right? And it's like, if you're not a Halo guy, let's say you have no past association with Xbox, right? And because a lot of people have past association. Halo means a lot. Gears means a lot. Forza is huge, right? So it's just like, okay, if you don't have that, then what? Then the other thing for the series console, this is what generally works in these conversations. Like, if it's just a person who buys, there's a lot of people who you'd be surprised that just buys the third-party games. When the new GTA or the new 2K or the new whatever, right? Or whatever, the biggest new third-party game is. And it's like, okay, if you get this, you get all this value with this service that they have. So people are like, wait a minute, I can get that. And then all of these other games, that's generally the sell. They've got, as far as value proposition, I'll still stand on this. They're still one of the best values. The problem is, if you're looking at it on sole games and game quality that's exclusive to the platform, they are not the preferred choice. We have to be honest at this stage until they prove otherwise. So I tell people, like, yo, you that Zelda dude, that's where you go over here. If you're that Last of Us and you want these really high-end type exclusive, if those move the needle for you, then PlayStation is where it's at. But as far as Xbox, as far as the third party, as far as the Game Pass service, as far as the value proposition, that's what and the thought process is these games that you see supposedly on the lineup are supposed to be good for you to come in here to stay. That's what it is. So it's, to Gregory's point, I always am honest with people. Right now, they're not giving a good enough argument to stay. That's just the truth, right? It's up to them. And I've always said the games have to be good. You can't wait this long and the games not be good. So if the games are good, you're here. But it's up to them to prove it to you. And I tell people all the time, hey, maybe right now ain't it for you. You just got to wait until the joint, come through. I have no problems telling people that. With me, I like the platform. I like the ecosystem. There's still games I'm extremely excited about. But to tell someone who doesn't have any connection to the brand to, hey, guys, just wait it out. That's a hard sell. Yeah. So it's on Xbox to prove that. But yeah, that's my answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot in that I can echo for sure, because it is difficult to pull yourselves out of the thick of it, but the reality is that there were a lot of promises made, some that we made to ourselves, some made by Xbox, but we thought we were going to get something of quality. We didn't get that. And a lot of that quality hinged on our thoughts of like, well, we think they're going to fix Activision, and we think every game that's going to come out of them is not going to be perfect. There's a lot of pressure on that, and I don't think it's ever going to live up to people's expectations following any acquisition, but that it should at least be good, especially with how Xbox Game Studios has established some level of a quality bar for themselves. I think it would be a fair expectation. What I would say is one of the selling points beyond Game Pass to me is if you like that OG Xbox energy where you have these teams working on kind of random indie things. I did say like the side pieces are not the main course meal, and that's still very true. But when you hop into Game Pass, I think what's cool about it is you see these teams that are known for one thing working on these little other things that are random Xbox exclusives that are very unexpected. And if they had those main pillars there that they would then build around, I mean, that's like, I wouldn't say perfect, but that's exactly what people want. Like it would be a blending of the 360 days of powerful blockbuster exclusives on a AAA level. And then you get these little random exclusives, your Operation Darkness, your Spectral Force, your Lost Odysseys. I know I just named a bunch of JRPGs, but these random ones that are kind of just stumbling in. You're like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Same thing here. So Xbox is like one piece of that puzzle. They're missing the very, very important, clearly, other part of it. And that's why it's very difficult to say, well, hop in, because you're buying into a promise. What I can say is I think Game Pass is worth your dollar. I think it's 100% worth it. And I've said well before any of this that the PS5 PC combo, even in light of the recent PC port issues, I think that is the best combination you can have. You can experience most Xbox games at what should be their best. You have access to Game Pass. You don't got to get to become the bottom feeders like us on the Series consoles, so that's nice too. And then you get to experience your PS5 exclusives. There's a lot that's been reported on Xbox, these partnerships they're making with these companies. We heard rumors about, although it seems like it based off their hiring post, we heard rumors about them working with IO Interactive. We know Project Belfry, Project Cobalt, the Project Wu-Tang. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we've heard about that sounds exciting. And that's where this showcase can deliver on that. What I would say, Gregory, is if I'm you, watch this showcase, which we're going to speak about next, with a very close eye.
Yes.
See what's there. Of course, see if Xbox is going to do this 1 year window or not. That's going to set the tone for you, Cog. If they're like, everything you see here is going to be in the next year. We'll talk about that in a moment, but I know that'll be a big tone setter for you. Well, point being, Gregory, I'd say watch this showcase, see what's coming up, watch with a close eye, be very critical. And I would say nothing there will probably convince you to go get a box if you own a PC. And that's the reality Xbox is perfectly okay with.
Yes.
But, I think the reality here is if you have a PC, and I've said this before, there's no reason to go out and get an Xbox unless you just want ease of use, which is why I prefer console gaming a lot of the time. It's just ease of use. I don't like configuring shit. I just want to fire it up and have it work. Just one SKU. That's it. Yep. Thank you.
Same.
But that would be outside of the obvious Game Pass. Cloud gaming is getting really good. That's another thing. I don't know how much you care about that if your internet can support it. But my fiance loves cloud gaming. Like that's how she doesn't download anything anymore. She just cloud games all the time. She beat Contrast in cloud gaming. She loved it. Like it's just nice. It was cool. So I asked her, I was like, did you install this? She's like, no. I'm like, play like a 3D platformer without that installing. I'm like, this fucking sacrilege, man. Like what the? But she said it was fine and she beat it. So I mean, there's that, right? But yeah, that's the only other thing I throw in there.
Last thing I would say is also back compat, is huge. I will say that, and the feature set. So yeah, to your point, 100%. But if currently as it stands, you nailed it perfectly. PC and PS5 is technically the best combination right now until you feel confident later to jump into the ecosystem with things specifically that you want.
Absolutely. So Cog, with that, we move into the news. Number one, Xbox has firmed up their summer plans. So we had an idea, now it's official, and it seems more relevant than ever that we should discuss what's going on during the Xbox Game Showcase. So I'm going to read this post from Xbox Wire, and then we'll get Cog's thoughts from mine and see where we're at. They write, We're delighted to announce the Xbox Game Showcase will be live streamed on June 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and obviously your local equivalent. Immediately after the showcase will be airing Starfield Direct. Note that they're not calling it Developer Direct. Starfield Direct, a deep dive into Bethesda Game Studios' highly anticipated sci-fi RPG. Join us for some new surprises and first looks from our incredibly talented internal studios and our many creative partners around the world. This is the day gamers. This is the day. This is the day gamers have been waiting to see. What's coming to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. It's just, I don't know. That was just so funny to me. Starfield Direct will invite you inside at Bethesda Game Studios to learn much, much more about Starfield with tons of new gameplay, developer interviews, and behind-the-scenes insider information. Like last year, we'll also have our follow-up stream, Xbox Games Showcase Extended, airing June 13th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, with in-depth interviews focused on the news from our Xbox Games Showcase, as well as games updates from our partners. You'll be able to watch the June 11th shows live through a variety of outlets in over 30 languages and American Sign Language, British Sign Language, and English audio descriptions. They also continue on to say, our virtual and in-person FanFest events are also returning this year with opportunities to watch our broadcast with local fans in Los Angeles, Mexico, Sao Paulo, Melbourne, and Warsaw. To sign up for the Xbox FanFest, they give you a website link and they say enter for a chance to attend. And they say make sure to stay tuned for more information on Xbox Game Showcase and Starfield Direct coming June 11th. So they just straight up said, let me borrow that name from Nintendo. We're going to call it the Starfield Direct. But Cog, the show has been firmed up. About an hour and a half for the Xbox Game Showcase, followed by about a 30-minute Starfield Direct, June 11th. Vibe check, of course, but also we'll do our prediction shows we always do the week before. But what's the baseline expectation? What does Xbox have to deliver to you to say that was a good show?
First off, shout out to the timing of this announcement today. It's quite interesting, you know. Give them something to talk about after what happened with Redfall. But look, it's critical. It's critical, man. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this at all. This is a critical year right now. And these are make or break moments, minus Starfield, including Starfield being good. So look, what I need to see, all right, you got to come out. This is what I would like to see. I would like to see
hit me with it.
Xbox Game Studios, the In-Exiles, the Compulsions, the ones we haven't heard about, right? That should be due. What are you working on? What's going on? Okay, I need at least at minimum one or two wow moments where it's like, a beloved IP. This would be a perfect time to announce Rise 2, Crytek, Game Pass, something, right? You gotta go for every aspect of the victory. You have to go for the core, like that wants that old thing back. You gotta go for the new who say, hey, I want to see your name attached to something great. I want to see your name attached to something high profile, high fidelity. Remember, power, showcasing, monsters. I want to see the flops. Where the flops at? You've been flipping and flopping it, and I want to flop it. Flops out.
Flop it on the table, baby. Let's go.
Put your flop on the I need all of it, right? Like, come on, pause. But I mean, it is what it is.
I feel like we got a little nasty out of our system. We're back to our usual vibes now.
When y'all know it's the Dukes, we go there. Come on. So at the end of the day, we need this, bro. We need to go, oh my God, did you see how that looked? Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. You need that energy from Xbox. You come out concise. We know the developers are going to come out here and there. We know Todd, we see you after the after party. Yeah. We're going to see you. But right now, this is more important than time. Like, we've got to see the future. If any of the major ones are even further in development that you're ready to show. I mean, again, it may be early for Fable. It may be early for Perfect Dark. But if they have resonance of like, any type of working gameplay to give people an idea of what this is, go for it. I think global publishing has to come out swinging. I will say this. I mean, Halo, maybe certain affinity, it might be time to get the confidence up on that battle royale or whatever that's going on.
Yeah.
It's all, it's gun blazing. Like, if I hear, I'm gonna tell you what's going to disgust me just off the rip. If I hear any of this, what you see now is only for the next 6 months. If I hear, temper your expectation, guys, because I don't want to hear that. I want my socks knocked off. This is socks. I want to sit back. What you doing? What you doing for me? Why am I still here? It's that type of show. It really is. So they should know this. I don't have to. Like, what I'm saying, I don't feel is even that unreasonable. Like, you've got to bring it. So yeah, the energy got to be up. The pacing needs to be right. And to me, it's set up for you. Like, the Hellblade, if possible, center one, you show it, you got a date, you say, boom, November, or whatever. Like, you got the show out, bro. You got the show out. So that's where I'm at. I hope they got a couple of surprises. And then as far as the second half, look, I will say this. I'm not going to sit here and demand Starfield at 60 frames. Well, I've always been on record for saying get ready for 30 frames per second edgy.
Yes,
I've always been Todd's
prepare
been
to collect that
hitting,
W. I think it's coming.
Yeah, I've been. So look, tell me you're 30, and we know PC will be with PC, but really show some really revolutionary stuff in this game. Really show why this game is that ambitious. Really, if you ain't gotta have a controller there, but you had that nice developer walkthrough and you're talking in the world of Starfield. You do blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And then you show those cool elements that make you that immersive, Western RPG that we know you to be in space. And you really showcase well. And then, obviously you have your date. And if people are feeling confident about it, as far as the polish and stuff, you just showcase the different things of the game. You give us more of a true gameplay session, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much, look, this is not rocket science to me. Remember what I said? It's like the cards are here. You just gotta you gotta execute. You gotta put them out in a nice order and a nice pacing, and do your thing. And it really is not. I shouldn't say it's not that hard. I'm not going to minimize the work of people performing the show. I know that's stressful, but you have the tools, and this is the year for you to release. So do what we expect you to do. And hopefully we can land this plane. Yeah. And that's all I'm hoping. But what are you hoping? What do you expect?
I'm hoping, number one, that Starfield isn't at the end in its own show to kind of clean up a mess, right? One of my fears is that we're going to hear a lot of games that we already knew about. Some leaked, some we already know, right? So I feel like, Belfry, we've heard about for a while, right? We've heard about the Wu-Tang game for a while. But something like that we already knew that was officially announced, Contraband, shows back up. Sometimes the most flat showcases are the ones that just like remind you of the old things that exist. And they're like, oh, this is still like 6 months away. But it's time for first party to deliver. It's time, man. Like, I can't say it enough how it's time. Like, this is the showcase I've been predicting for years. I'm like, 2023, Xbox will have their big first party blowout. They've got to. They cannot, because number one, you got to take the pressure off Starfield. This is like having a star player, Mike Trout, and you're like, yo, this man's got to start hitting home runs. He's got to score all runs. Like, what's he doing? What's Ohtani doing? Why are the Angels not in the postseason anymore? It's like, you got to build around these players and help them out. You got to build around Starfield so it's not on this lone island holding the big Xbox brand up above its head. You got to have first party show out. That's non-negotiable. Some of these folks should be ready by this point. I'm not saying force things. We've heard about Fable where Matt Booty's asked multiple times and each time they've said no. I'm not saying you come in and be like, nah, you're doing that. Sorry, pal. But first party's got to be ready to the show. What I mean by that is Hellblade 2, Avowed, non-negotiable. Both these must be here. Both these must be here.
Go.
I'm sorry. Hellblade 2, I don't think I'm asking for much. Avowed, little risky, but I think it's time, man. It's been time. Let's see what Obsidian's been up to. I don't care if it's July next year. It's time to see what Obsidian's up to on a AAA level. I love their little projects, but this is the one that, again, people are going to talk about. Not Pentiment, not Grounded, Avowed.
Steak time, baby.
Let's go. They need to cash in on easy wins. It's time to cash in on your easy wins. I'm a little less confident in some of these given the news about the partnership, but okay, I'm speaking for myself a little bit here, but a Fallout remaster. Give yourself an easy W. Give yourself something that you know is going to sell well, that's not fucking problematic. Please. Another one, a New Vegas 2 title reveal. Just, it's happening like you did with the Outer Worlds 2. It's happening like you did with Elder Scrolls 6. It's happening. I don't know when. Give the fans that kind of, oh, whoa, they're going there. That's a part of the future. I think you can have, what's happened is because Xbox pre-announced so many things, they became reserved. Then we get this 12-month window. Then they bite themselves in the ass, right? And now we're seeing them scramble a bit. So I think you can have both. You can have the now, the soon, and the into the future. And I think the now is the Starfield. It's very soon. Once that hits, 3 months away. The soon should be your Avowed and your Hellblade. And then your into the future has got to be things like Fallout, New Vegas 2. A Banjo-Kazooie remake has been requested and reported on multiple times. If you're doing it, if that ends up being true, pull the goddamn trigger on it. A partnership type of announcement. You did one with Kojima. That's great. But I'm talking like, as I've said for a while, I don't want to hear this. We don't want to do a PlayStation. Give me a break. Stop. Star Wars, Marvel, DC.
Hello.
Someone. So, but the reason I'm bringing all this up is not to set that all these got to hit, but one of these. Give yourself some level of an easy win that people can walk away from and go, oh, that was great. Like I'm glad that exists. Okay. It's hard to materialize the actual product in the showcase before everyone say like, it's coming on this date. Like there's a lot of effort that goes into that, making sure it's ready and that's actually going to hit that date. I get it. But there are a level of easy wins that you can provide you and your team that you got to cash in on. It's like you got the money in the bank suitcase. It's time to go for your belt now. It's time to cash in.
No, absolutely. And to me, especially in lieu of the potential that Activision Blizzard King is not happening. So now I want to see an aggressive third-party Game Pass exclusive checkbook now.
Yeah.
I want to see all the major third-party titles that are lined up for the year. You either got the marketing rights or that thing is day one in Game Pass. If Street Fighter's coming out, Mortal Kombat's coming out, let it come out on your stage with Ed Boon and them, and you say, boom, you gonna have to drop some bags to get people ramped up to be here, especially with ABK on the fringe. You need an influx of stuff to make people stay on the platform for sure.
Yeah, it just, again, is going to really, I know some of these things come together last minute. So I know Xbox has some time to adjust, but I think very little. But with ABK and with what's going on with Redfall, I know some of it's very last minute, but they got to understand if you can pull that last minute easy win out of your pocket. That's why I brought up the title reveal for New Vegas. If you can make that happen, it'll be far away. But if you can make something like that happen, I think it would be wise, because that's my big worry, is that a lot of this bad news hit. You could have anticipated Redfall. Could have. They had the chance to. They didn't. That's their fault. You couldn't really anticipate the ABK turnout where it was blocked.
That was a double whammy.
Right. You can't anticipate that double whammy. But again, that's where you go into what Cog said way earlier. Contingency plan. The pipeline should be moving fine enough where this should not be such a fateful showcase. It's still exciting, but it really is that moment of like, you got to have an A. You got to have an A. You cannot come out B, C plus, even a B plus. I'm like, no, man, like you cannot have a dead moment. You got to come out with that PlayStation showcase energy where they had the WTF announcements, the great soon announcement. They just had everything clicking for them. Xbox cannot afford to just hold back. And I really hope they don't. I really, truly hope they don't.
I agree. Absolutely.
So as always, we'll do our full prediction show per studio in the Xbox family. The week before, we'll, as always, tap the Xbox 2 boys on the shoulder and see if we can get them together with us to do a little progression show. So that'll be fun. But keep an eye out for that. Again, we do that the week before the showcase, and then we usually have our showcase episode out. Obviously, I got to check with Dustin and Ben, but the plan usually is 2 years now. We've been doing it where, once the showcase happens, we come out within the 24-hour window. So, it'll be fun. It'll be hopefully fun, I should say.
But
we'll see.
Get it.
All right, number 2, speaking of which, some updates on the Activision Blizzard King acquisition since the CMA's blocking of it. First, there was a Bloomberg report which talked about an all-hands meeting for Division employees Tuesday morning. So they write, Microsoft Gaming Chief Phil Spencer acknowledged that the company's disappointment, saying the UK's decision will slow the approval process, according to a person who attended the meeting. Still, he said Microsoft's desire to pursue the deal hasn't wavered, said the person who asked not be identified, discussing an internal event. Spencer told staffers that Microsoft President Brad Smith was up until 2 a.m. Seattle time Wednesday drafting a response to the UK CMA. He said Chief Financial Officer Amy Hood, who oversees acquisitions, held a senior leadership meeting the same day. The Xbox chief said the acquisition was intended to speed up Microsoft's gaming plans, but does not represent the entirety of the company's gaming strategy, which would move ahead even without Activision, the person said. So pretty important moment there. But then a couple of other things I just wanted to go forth and discuss. Ukraine has approved the deal to go through. The CMA has said since then that Nintendo's platforms are not capable of running Call of Duty, which was hilarious to see. On top of that, we have NVIDIA's GeForce Now issuing a statement on the rejection of the CMA, saying, quote, GeForce Now and other cloud gaming providers stand to gain an even deeper catalog of games if Microsoft's acquisition is completed. We see this as a benefit to cloud gaming and hope for a positive solution. Next up, there was a little quote here that it came out of the CMA's blocking of the Activision deal, and it's suggesting that there is a prohibition of the merger, meaning that Microsoft and ABK may not be able to try again for the next 10 years if this fails. Hence why they may be going all in on it, as we've seen before. And then despite all of this going on, and based off the report of Bloomberg, it seems like entirely accurate, Microsoft has moved forward with another 10-year agreement, this time with Enware. Brad Smith posted the picture we keep seeing with the Microsoft and then the random company logo we never heard of. Microsoft and European cloud gaming platform Enware have signed a 10-year agreement to stream PC games built by Xbox on its platform, as well as Activision Blizzard titles after the acquisition closes. While it's still early for the emerging cloud segment in gaming, this new partnership combined with our other recent commitments will make more popular games available on more cloud streaming services today, or than they are today. Sorry. So those are all the little things happening since the CMA has blocked the deal. Cog, does any of this change how you've been feeling about things walking out of last week's show where the CMA had blocked the deal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation for them. There's make no doubt. I'm not going to sit there and say that the chances have increased. You know, it really is not looking good for the UK's part. But again, I feel like this is the theme of my show today. It's like Cog's going to stand on his square. The reason being is this. And again, I've already broke down my fundamental reasons as to why, from a competitive standpoint, and this did not involve Call of Duty, which is what I thought from the beginning. But cloud was a concern. Nascent market was a concern. And all I'm going to say is this, you know, it seems that Microsoft, when reviewing it, made two critical mistakes. And one seems to be obviously assuming the cloud portion would not have the same level of scrutiny. And one is about, this is what it comes down to, man. Look, they want to make sure that Microsoft maintains the price of Game Pass. That's number one. Like that it doesn't, and there's a part of me that understands that on some level, right? If inflation or whatever. And then the other thing is, okay, like I said, it's a nascent market. So the vibe I got is like any new player in the game, maybe that they don't exist currently right now, and it's a new market. But let's just say, I don't know, whatever, some new company zero, Nish is back. Remember Nish? So they're like, yo, yeah, and they want to do it, you know, a cloud streaming or whatever. They got to get Call of Duty. And the thing is, right now, there's nothing, I guess, to protect that. To me, if I look at it objectively, those are easy fixes. The question comes down to politically how invested the CMA is hard to sticking to this stance. And if Microsoft comes back to the table, the appeal looks spooky. I go front, but this is what I will say: it all comes down to the EU. The only reason why I'm still standing on my square a little bit with this deal is that, again, we're going to talk, since we're talking politics, I got to bring it up a little bit.
Sure.
My trips to Ireland before, right? This was this year, last year. I learned a lot about the relationship between the UK and the EU. There's a lot of history there. And all I will say is they generally do not, listen, they pulled me to the side. I was like, Carl, when we go to this section of Ireland, this part is very, UK, this part, and this part is the EU section. And it's a different energy because of the very, let's say, bloody historic history. So the thought process, if we're going political, because some of us has creeped into gaming, I have to bring it up a little bit, is that they tend to vote differently. Now, not saying that it's impossible for them to block. I will say this: if the EU blocks it, it's a wrap. But I still think the EU, based on every other region that we've seen, should follow suit. So if that happens and the EU says, boom, it's a go, in my opinion, then Microsoft is going to say, all right, the FTC, remember, you guys said you were concerned about Call of Duty. Remember, the FTC and the CMA arguments are not aligned. The CMA is saying cloud, the FTC is saying Call of Duty. So the FTC, to me, would lose in court from the jump, even regardless. And the CMA, to me, would just, you'd have to come back to the table after you say, all right, EU say yes, the deal's going through. For right now, Call of Duty ain't over there in the UK. And we're going to push forward. And we'll fight you guys the rest of the way. I still think in court, Microsoft wins. The question is, how much has politics seeped into this? And if the EU votes. That's my stance on it. And hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's where I'm going with it.
As always, I hate talking about this deal, not even because of the fact that it comes around often. I really don't mind that too much now that we had the chance to like refresh at the end of the year following the Game Awards and all that shit and kind of collect ourselves. But what's frustrating is every time we talk about this, there's always like someone in the audience somewhere in the comments just like, it's always something. The Duke's got this wrong. This was disappointing. It's always because it's politics involved, right? So there's always a problem with our conversation. The same thing happens with Sacred. Any talk on the deal, they just don't get it. They don't understand. And I'm not, by the way, claiming I know more. So actually what I did was I went to the person who would know. Talk to Hogue, right?
Ooh, let's go.
Because I want to start calling some of the people in the comments who decide, they slide on the suit coat and they're just like, Daddy, I decided to be a lawyer today. That's what I'm going to be today. And you pretend to know everything. I was like, I'm going to go to the man who actually is one and would know this stuff, Hogue. But I'm going to start calling y'all Hoguites. You think you're him, but you're not. So I asked Hogue because we were chatting a little bit. And I said to him, I just had a quick CMA question for you. Is it possible if the EU were to approve that Xbox and Microsoft could potentially go to court with the FTC and try to win there to effectively alienate the CMA where they would have to push it through? And then he said, sure, though none of these regulators really have to do anything as long as they can stay in the politics of it. And I said, thanks for the insight. The YouTube comments on the latest DD are claiming we're off base, so I thought I bothered the expert. And he said, Hogue has a really nice way of telling you when you're like an idiot, I feel, even though he doesn't mean it that way. Because he said, I certainly think trying to isolate and pressure the CMA as effectively rogue is a strategy, though I view its likelihood of success as remote. So that's his read of the situation. And I thought it was just important to clean up where cleaning up is needed. But, for me personally, I don't know if I have any additional updated thoughts following what's happened with the CMA. To me, it kind of felt like that kiss of death moment. Like Xbox is going to fight tooth and nail. And kiss of death in terms of it either goes down and that's it, or we're going to hear about this for another, who knows, 2 years? I don't know. But, if they're willing to, again, as Hogue said about the politics of it all, if they can waiver it, then Xbox and Microsoft will continue to push this until they can get approval. And I guess it sounds like they may be willing to go to court in 3 different areas. And if so, they'll fight that battle, it seems, because they believe this is necessary to their pipeline in the terms of content.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I will say my only thing would be if all 3 entities, that's tough. That's tough to fight all 3 blocks. I agree. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I concede is with the EU.
I completely agree as well, but I'm sure they'll let us know how Hogue was wrong now.
They'll let us know.
They'll let us know. We fucked up there, man. This one's really interesting. Number 3. A new Xbox game leaked, And the way it leaked is the most Xbox shit of all time. Q Blue Kelly, who was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, says he has signed a deal with Microsoft for a new video game, which will also have a movie based on said game, that he described during his draft day as, quote, a SEAL Team 6 that travels back in time to stop people from changing historic events, end quote. That's all he could get out before he looked over his shoulder and admitted he was saying too much. According to Q Blue Kelly, he created the storyboard for the game, and the company, being Microsoft, which was specifically mentioned by the reporter, liked it enough to sign off on it. The game is still in development and will be released alongside the movie. And so, yeah, they're going back to that PS2 energy with the tie-in games, with the movies. How about that? Xbox is signing off on this shit. Thoughts?
Yeah, this movie must have been fire. Yeah. Whatever they saw. We'll see. What's funny is about this is a football player?
Yeah. He was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, and while he was doing an interview on draft day, he was talking to a reporter, and he's spilled about this. I'm like, what?
It's wild.
Yeah, right. NFL draft leaked a Microsoft game. Insane.
That's wild. Let's see if this will come to fruition.
The premise of the game kind of sounds cool, bro.
The premise sounds fire, though. I ain't going for like you go back and you see the change the events. Yeah. Like that's kind of dope.
Yeah.
Got to see the execution. Got to see the graphics.
I don't know why it makes me think of it. I really, truly don't know why. It just makes me think of the Order 1886 for some reason. Like, could it be like, not in the terms of quality or anything like that, but like, could it be Xbox's Order kind of style game, this alternate history exploration style game? Yeah, that'd be awesome. But I feel like they should have, PlayStation, for all their pros, they should have really, really hung with the Order and not let ready.
That was a just when it needed more.
Like they needed to clearly build on it and not be so obsessed with their own visuals. That was like the biggest flaw with it. But man, that world had potential. And once you got to the end, you were like, oh, this is something, man. And then it ends. And you're like, I wish there was more. So
very short. I know.
But Xbox is working on or funding at least, a SEAL Team 6 that travels back in time to stop people from changing historic events. So it could be interesting.
Little Time Police, little Loki.
Yeah, kind of. Mm-hmm. Number 4, last bit of news here. Coming to Xbox Game Pass and leaving Xbox Game Pass. Let's talk about what's arriving to the service, starting off with one that's already out. Redfall, Xbox Series, consoles, and PC. By the time you're listening to this, Ravenlock will also be out. This one, man, I got to try out, but a little heartbroken. It's got like a 62 on OpenCritic. Like, it's getting...
Oh, no.
People are just saying it's just kind of like a visual showpiece, but the gameplay is very hollow, which is very disappointing. But I'm going to lay hands on it this week. I got some time now, so I'm out of the review gauntlet. So I'm going to see what this is all about, see if I feel the same. But Ravenlock, nonetheless, day one on Game Pass, console, PC, and cloud. Weird West Definitive Edition comes to Game Pass on Xbox Series consoles May 8th. The Shadowrun Trilogy comes to PC Game Pass May 9th. And then Fuga Melodies of Steel 2, a very interesting, obscure CyberConnect 2 game, comes to console, PC, and cloud Game Pass. Meanwhile, what's leaving Game Pass all on May 15th? The ironically named Before We Leave is leaving Game Pass.
Yo, before we out, check us out. Check us out. We out of here.
Before We Leave leaves Game Pass, console, PC, cloud, May 15th. Wow, man. Just talk about salt in the wound this week. Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition leaves console and PC. Y'all had your chance. I told y'all for a while to go play it, but if not, you still got time. Get in on Danganronpa. Her Story leaves PC Game Pass. Hearts of Iron 4 Cadet Edition leaves PC Game Pass. And Umurangi Generation Special Edition leaves console, PC, and cloud. So, Cog, those are the omissions. Those are the additions. Any thoughts on them, sir?
Not too much for me. I'm going to be playing Jedi Survivor. Yeah. That's just
they put a lot of eggs in the Redfall basket. And strategy may not have paid off here.
Just that's what's going on.
That's fine. We need some time to catch up.
I did. Midnight Sun's got DLC.
I did see that Storm DLC.
Yes. Yeah, that Storm DLC.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who have an open mind to Danganronpa, this is my last chance to really say my piece that this is, your chance to get involved on one of the best, if not the best, visual novel experience. I think it was Don Otaku writes in. He's always saying it's sacrilege, and I'm going against the Ace Attorney fam. Actually, mid-show, my friend signed on Steam. We've been convincing him to play Danganronpa. He meets this girl he really likes. Guess what she's a fan of? Ace Attorney. Guess what I saw him play? His ass was on Ace Attorney. I was like, boy, you better turn that shit off right now. I said, I don't care if I'm at work. You better turn it off right now. We had a talk. The boys had a talk. And now because some girl comes in, you're going to tell me you're going to play Ace Attorney? No. Don't be my friend, okay? Go experience the greatness that is Danganronpa, okay? It's to sell you on the premise. It's a murder mystery with a group of teenagers trapped in a school, or in the case of Danganronpa 2, a tropical island. And it's an island now. Right? Danganronpa 3 goes back to a school, much more claustrophobic, closed-in environments. I prefer it that way. But Island's pretty good. It's very gimmicky, a lot of mini games, but at the root is a riveting narrative that is guaranteed to blow your socks off. It's depressing. It's funny. It's got so many high moments. And even Danganronpa 2, which is my least favorite in the trilogy, is still an excellent video game that you should play. If you like visual novels, if you like beautiful music, by the way, this is all you. The Rampa. I guess there's probably an age limit, though. You don't want to have your creepy cog moment. So, you don't want that.
Keep the candy away.
Time for our Game Pass pick of the week. It's my turn. I'm up for this one. And I feel like this is just the Maddie propaganda episode. It's just like, this is the time. I've learned something, Cog, in my experience.
What you learned?
I learned that there are conversations, and we've had this multiple times on the show. We've said this multiple times. There are times where people are willing to listen a little bit more closely than usual, right?
I got you.
There'll be times you just spit facts, and they're just not willing to hear it. But then something happens, and they're like, Matt, all right, I'm here, I'm listening now. I'm like, look, son, it's okay. Look, daughter, it's okay. Take a seat. Papa Maddie's got you here. Let's talk about the Game Pass pick of the week. It's time to enlighten those of you who have remained ignorant for so long. Let's talk about Dishonored. Let's talk about it, man. Like, so many of y'all have obviously been sleeping on this game. With the write-ins that I've seen on our show, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. On our show,
You're good.
Where y'all are like, Maddie, you're being too hard. It looks good. Maddie, it's the arcane games are just not for me, but this one looks like it's for me. Looks can be deceiving, my friend. And I think you're walling off one of the best experiences you can have. So let's walk through Dishonored. All available on Game Pass. Dishonored 1, 2, and Death of the Outsider. I'm not going to be another one of those people who's like, oh, play Prey. Prey is amazing, but you hear it all the time. Let's talk Dishonored. So this is a game where you're a supernatural assassin, and it's got all the immersive sim bells and whistles that you could ask for. It's got the ability to tackle your missions in multiple ways, and guess what? There's narrative consequence to it. So as you're crawling around, let's say I want to poison Campbell's cup of water there. Guess what? I'm going to get a high chaos point there. And as you get more and more high chaos, you get a different ending. There's also low chaos. So maybe I choose to get rid of Campbell in a more peaceful way. Knock him out, throw him in a boat or something like that, let him ship off out of state.
Peaceful.
Yeah, just nice peaceful way of taking him out. You don't kill him, right?
Peaceful removal. Yeah, peaceful removal.
There's so many options in this series to tackle the missions, and how you see the narrative impact is special. That's in the first game, right? Very hub-based, 10-ish hour experience. Very replayable, though. One of my favorite games of all time. Dishonored 2, also one of the GOATs for Maddie, is what I would still say. I would probably go the length now. It's been long enough. I've sat on it for a while, but there hasn't really been much competition since. Best stealth game of all time. Seriously. Because it takes the Dishonored formula, right? You have this core game where you play as Corvo. I won't spoil who in case you're new to the narrative. You get a second playable character now. And they take the level design from Dishonored 1. They must have been on fucking crack making this game, bro, because this game's level design is unhinged. The ins and outs of buildings, the amount of ways you can go about it. Clockwork Mansion should be in a goddamn museum for how fantastic it is on level design. Arcane knocked it out of the park with this game because not only is it replayable in that high and low chaos, right? It's replayable in the levels. It's replayable in the approach. It's replayable in who your protagonist is because two protagonists have completely different ability wheels and not just three abilities, but a whole wheel of them with gadgetry and different ways of approach. It's a fucking masterclass in video game development. Take a bow again, Arcane, because this is your masterpiece. These are the games that have built the pedigree and supported the hype, even in the face of deceit in Redfall, of why we were excited for the game nonetheless, because maybe excited a little strong, but we were open to the game nonetheless because games like Dishonored existed. And Dishonored, for all the gameplay it gets right, it's also got a really good story. It's a story about betrayal, and especially even Death of the Outsider, about the rich lore of this universe. The attention to detail and how they've built it up is just so fantastically done. Dishonored 1 and 2 having fantastic DLC. I'm saying fantastic a lot. It's my favorite F word this show, next to a certain other one.
Next to another one.
But this is a trilogy of games that you truly, not even in the face of Redfall, not to spite Arcane, but truly owe it to yourself to experience. I'm not hyping it up. Scouts Honor twice this episode. You got it on me. I'm not hyping this up just to tell you all like, fuck Redfall. Please, while you're listening and you're a little more open to it, I'm telling y'all, it's time. You've saw Deathloop, or I said Deathloop, sorry. Deathloop I'll even throw on that list though. You could play that. You've seen Redfall. This is not what this studio is capable of. And you will, if you only play Redfall, you will just destroy and dismantle what your view of this team is, because it's not what they truly are, in my opinion. Not to defend them, but go in there, try Dishonored. Just because Dishonored, I think, is
download it, Maddie. All right.
I just see my lovely co-host is listening to me like all you should be doing, pulling out the phone and installing. Dishonored 1 is a nice bite-sized experience where you can get a feel if you want more. If you play it and you beat it after about 8 to 10 hours, right?
8 to 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
very doable. Not for my full-time guys out there like Cog, you can make the time for this.
So 1 or 2, because I'm assuming 1 is
play 1 first.
The
yeah.
OG?
Play 1 first.
Okay.
Yeah. Even if you only got time for 1, play 1 first, right? Because there's a narrative element to 2 and how it starts that's very high stakes, in my opinion, that will not resonate, connect, or click in any way, shape, or form.
Got it.
If you haven't played the first one. And the way they evolved the first one to the second one is fantastic.
Okay. Definitive Edition?
Yes.
Is in Game Pass.
Yes. That comes with all the DLC. DLC up to you. I think if you want more, I'd say just hop into 2 personally, but I love the DLC. But that's kind of the fanboy in me talking. But for those of y'all who are out there, like Dishonored 1 is that game, man. It really is still one of the best stealth games you could play. Definitive Edition or no Definitive Edition, it's fantastic. I've replayed this game a nauseating amount of times. And yes, because it's my Game Pass pick of the week, me and Jez were spiritually connected on this review. We didn't talk during a review process. I forgot to mention this, but it's just a little fun fact. During the review for Redfall, reviewers talk all the time. How's the performance? How are you liking it? Just to get a feel. I typically try not to participate because I don't want my score swayed one way or the other by the conversation, but I do a lot of performance checks. There was a staggering amount of people in my inbox like, yo, you playing Redfall right now? Because it was a lot. Yeah. Where was I originally going with that point, though? I went left on that. I was talking about Dishonored. You're muted. Hold on. You gotta help me out here. You gotta help me out.
Sorry. Yeah, I heard you talking about Dishonored, then I thought you were talking about Jez for a little bit.
Thank you.
But then,
yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. God, I love you. Thank you. I was about to lose that train of thought. So yeah, Jez and I were on the same wavelength where we did what I call now the Redfall detox. So we were playing Redfall, and both of us seemed to be in the same basket of like, I got this. The first thing I didn't share this in my review. First thing I was like, it's a me problem. I was like, bro, I'm just like, gotta check myself. So I installed that Dishonored. I installed Prey. I'm like, are these like as good as I'm thinking they are? Because sometimes you get so far removed from that product that you just build up, and you come back and you're like, man, that wasn't what I thought it was, right? Like, it wasn't as good as I thought it was. So I fired these games up, right? I'm like, let me take a peek, and these are still as great as ever. Prey, I recently played for Moon Crash for like a re-review on my Mr. Matty channel, but Dishonored I hadn't checked out in a hot minute. I fired it up and I'm like, dude, they even have the stealth takedown. Either you come behind, you stab them,
Yes.
you take their head off, and you choke them out if you're going low chaos. And I was like, yeah, man, I remember all these little details and they're not here in Redfall. It was this like reaffirmation of like how I was feeling. And Jez did the same thing. And I feel like a lot of you out there, if you've even fired up Redfall and you're like, I'm not going to finish this, you might even appreciate Arcane a lot more for what they are capable of. It's kind of like my low-key way of trying to do the right thing on the show and save their image, because a lot of people will do what happened with Bethesda Game Studios. 76 has tarnished Fallout 3 and Oblivion and Fallout 4 and Skyrim. These games don't matter. That's where I tell people hit the pause button.
Yeah,
Dishonored, Prey, very much worth your time. Deathloop, compared to Redfall, worth your time. I just feel like don't let Redfall fully define what this studio is capable of. These games can show you they are capable of far greater, and they are still 110% worth your time. I'll be talking on it more next week because I'm probably going to do a full playthrough of Dishonored 1 before then, because it's just nice, quick, in and out. Just get back and familiar with Dunwall again. See how I want to transform Dunwall. I feel like, Cog, you'll love this game. I really do. Like,
and I'm a stealth guy.
Yeah, you're stealth guy, first person, supernatural options, choice and consequence. Man, you're about to find one of your favorite games of all time. You don't even know it. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you, man.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, but obviously Jedi Survivor priority for you. But that's my Game Pass pick of the week. Anyway,
I like it. Now this is a good time for me to, take my medicine and jump on the OG and see what the essence of Arcane is. Why they're so beloved, and why this one hurts with the rest.
Smell the air
so much. Yeah, it is good. It's a good assignment. I'll check it out.
With that, Cog, we have our final question of the show. And it comes from Jordan Faldudo. You know me. I like to finish these shows with the most off-topic crap I can find, because I think it's a fun way to just unwind.
Yeah,
right?
Unwind.
So, pardon me, I had to burp for the millionth time this episode. Let's talk to Jordan, who writes, Mr. Matthew Schrodoggy. That's a new one. No one's called me that before.
Okay.
I appreciate the recommendation of The Last Ronin. I made an uncharacteristic move and spontaneously bought the hardcover when you mentioned we should check it out. I absolutely loved it. I'm not even a comic book guy either. My wife did a double take when she saw me reading in bed. Normally it's the Steam Deck. The story of The Last Ronin really made me remember how much I love the Turtles and even get misty-eyed a few times. My question is simple. Now that I'm done reading this one, what's next? Cheers and fingers crossed we get our first M-rated TMNT game. Yes, indeed, Jordan. I thought this was a good opportunity to see, of course, if you've read any more of it, if you finished it up. But also just
got caught up with I'm literally at the end, and I got caught up with the whole review cycle of Redfall. So apologies.
Sons of bitches. No, you're good. You're good.
Literally right there.
No, you're good. But are you enjoying it still?
Oh, hell yeah. What? Yeah. That thing is fire. Cool. Like, I'm literally at the end. It's just that, like I said, with the whole, am I getting it? Am I not getting it?
No, I totally get it. I was just curious.
And then you guys are so ahead, and I'm like, I gotta play to talk and play. Like, so that's what just Redfall just threw me for a loop.
Hey, I want to shout out my co-host here for a moment here, because I definitely put the heat on Cog a little bit. Normally, I don't tell this man what to play, but this week I said, Cog, I need your bars ready for this show, because I said I can't, because I knew how I was gonna come in, and I was like, Cog's usually the voice of reason. I'm the voice of emotion. And so we come together really well, especially in moments like this. But I was like, brother, I need your bar. So shout out to my man for, amidst all he had to do, taking the time to play some Redfall, submitting himself to that. I said it off camera, but I really do appreciate you taking that time to make sure we had the right show prepared.
Absolutely. Much love. You already know.
Of course. But salute to you. And to answer your question, Jordan, there's a lot of places you can go. I would, of course, with comics, there's so many universes. My number one recommendation is always just like look up something as simple as best TMNT comics to read and then see what kind of sparks you. The one I like, if you've kind of realized, hey, I enjoy the Ninja Turtles again. I forgot how much I like them. You sound like you're familiar with the world, and I would recommend the IDW collection for the TMNT universe. It was ongoing from, I'm looking now, 2016 to 2018. And they're still mature. They're still gritty. But what's cool about this is it covers the universe as a whole. So you'll see creatures from like old comics and shows that even I'm not familiar with, which I found interesting. But like volume 3 is a story about Karai. who's the Shredder's daughter, and like she travels to this ancient tomb, and it's like her kind of getting her. I think she was like some part of a training protocol or something. It's a very bloody one. It's very mature. But what's cool about TMNT Universe is you kind of get all these different perspectives. What I've noticed is it's not like one continued storyline. They kind of I think they coincide over time, but I really like the Universe comics for that reason. I own, I think the first 5 or 6 volumes, I want to say, but the first volume is called War to Come. War to Come.
Yeah, that's cool.
$20 paperback, up to you if you want that. Mm-hmm. It's on Kindle Unlimited. There's ways you can get it digitally, but there's also the IDW Collection Volume 1, which I have not read in full, but that is $40. But there's a lot of great comics. I personally like the TMNT Universe. Right now, my favorite from them is Volume 3, but these have been good. Like the art for them, it goes so hard. Like Volume 2 is oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of the robot turtle, but someone will know. And then there's like, he's got like kind of goo dripping off his head and it's dripping into Donatello's hands. It's so cool. Metalhead's its name.
Metalhead.
There are old school ones with Eastman and Laird. The reason why people like Last Ronin so much is it's a return to Eastman and Laird working together. Like there was, I think Eastman was involved in a lot of them, or Laird was involved in separate ones, but this is the time they came together for something because they kind of had that spark, it seems like. But I would say that the TMNT Universe comics are probably the best place to go. I'm not super familiar with like the OG ones. Personally, just the art doesn't appeal to me. But TMNT Universe from IDW is a good place to go. I can say I've read those and can confirm quality is up to snuff and the maturity is up to snuff as well.
Yeah, it looks cool. I can tell about it, like the art style.
Yeah,
very gritty.
Yes,
but yeah, definitely feeling
100%. So, thank you, Jordan, for your trust fall and picking up spontaneously the Last Ronin. I will say a measurement. Last Ronin is like a greatest of all time for many TMNT comic. Like. I've read and enjoyed TMNT stuff. Like Shell Unleashed is another. There's a booklet of that. Shell Unleashed is pretty good too. But it's pretty tough, in my opinion, to measure up to The Last Ronin. Because you can see it's got almost a video game in mind when they're making it. You can see these moments playing out on the big screen, but also there's a lot of emotion packed into it. And there is emotion in all these comics that I've read, but it's hard to reach the heights of like, all the turtles are dead except one type of starting. Yeah. It's very hard. Like it's a high stakes story based off your familiarity, but these are still great. There are comics where turtles do die in the middle of the story. I won't spoil which one, but there is one where I know one does die. So to me, I am a big, like as a storyteller, like I'm very big on character death because I feel like you know, a lot of storytellers are kind of gutless. Like, you know, I don't want to let go of this dude I really like that I made. And I feel like that's your punctuation to like their arc is done. Let's not hold on to them until they're around for like too long. You're like, then they die. You're like, damn, that was weak. Like you held them on for that moment there. It takes tact, but to me, character deaths are everything in storytelling. You know, you got it. Cause like for me to feel like it's high stakes, someone close to me got to go down. Like that's all there is to it. That's how I feel. And so I feel like these comics kind of nail that. And that's why I think you'd like them, Jordan. So thank you for, again, trusting me and writing in on it.
Salute, man. Salute to Jordan on that. Yeah. And Ronin has that feel off the top and just a post-apocalyptic world kind of like with this scenario of all our beloved characters and associates and how their lives are affected and stuff like that was really, it's jarring because it's like that scary reality that you know can happen. And it, like you said, it's extra weight when the deaths are there because it's like, yo, the stakes are even higher. It hits for sure.
100%. So I hope you enjoyed, Jordan. Thank you for writing in. Cog, that's it. That's the episode, man. Great work.
Yeah.
Great work.
Yeah. I guess it's based on one topic.
I expect Starfield to be much of the same.
Yeah. The question is, what the name?
The hashtag,
Are we going?
Did we do Redfall DD? I got to Twitter search that because I don't know. I feel like we did. Let's see here. I don't see anything in the search at all. I feel like that's got to be it, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, it's Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down with it. You down?
Oh yeah, I'm there. Hold on.
Hold on. Did we use it?
Did 15 hours? No, not that. 15 hours. Did Arcane put out a statement for Redfall?
What? Hold on.
Go check out Arcane before we end this show. Let's just make sure there's one of those performance. Oh no.
No, they didn't? Okay.
Okay, so I saw something I thought somebody like tweeted something in reference to it, but no, it wasn't that. Arcane didn't put anything. Let's just double check. Nope.
Nothing? We're good?
All quiet. All
We're
quiet.
good. Okay.
Yeah,
Silence
just
on the
want to
home
make sure
front.
we didn't miss anything. Silence on the set. Yeah, we good with that.
All right, so we'll do the hashtag RedfallDD. We encourage you to tag us on Twitter. I'm at G27status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. Tag either of us. Let us know your thoughts on the show. We're certainly looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it using, again, the hashtag RedfallDD. Otherwise, go ahead and write them in the comments down below, hashtag RedfallDD, and let us know what you felt about the episode, the energy at Xbox, and what to expect from the showcase. And is it as doom and gloom as it's been made out to be? We're looking forward to seeing all your thoughts, whether it's comments, Twitter, again, hashtag RedfallDD. Cog, that's it for us. Is there anything else you'd like to add on here at the end of the episode, or shall I wrap it up?
No, I gotta have those good heart to heart sometimes, right? You gotta put the family members in and sit them down and talk. And
I'm the drunk uncle, clearly.
No, bro, I knew you was hot today. I was like, oh, I'm gonna let him cook. I see you were just ready. You were seething the energy.
I was definitely in that mode of like, we hopped in. We usually talk for a little bit. I said, let's start recording.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just please
gotta get it out.
Yeah,
you gotta work it through.
I felt something ugly within me.
I was like, I'm gonna let him cook. Well, yeah, no, these are the conversations that we gotta have. And again, it's not from people have to understand, like, criticism. Sometimes it's just from a place of love. When you love something, it's okay to criticize. Mm-hmm. And it is nothing, wrong with that. And we try to be as respectful as possible. But these are the conversations that had to happen. So all good by me.
Yeah,
so
it may not sound like it from me, but I'm sure people know the passion I have for gaming. Not that Cog doesn't, by the way, but I'm sure they also know the passion I have is unequivocally high for Bethesda games, because I just think they're like best in class when they're on their shit. Mm-hmm. And when they're not, it's frustrating. But when it's a self-inflicted wound that was avoidable because you had another studio suffer the same fate, it's doubly frustrating. And, I know it won't win us any favors with the way I had to speak about them, but I don't regret a thing, because the reality is, man, like I know they're going to hear a lot of it. It's inescapable on YouTube, Twitter, but they've got to hear it. They've got to understand that no one is giving this a passing grade. No one is saying this is okay, whether Game Pass is involved or not. They got to know, because Arcane is one of the world's best developers, and this is not them. And they should not be put out like this. This shouldn't have been made. And so, again, I really hope they take the feedback off the chin as best as they can. I know there's a lot that goes into creating games and that there's a lot of passion, but I don't want to assume too hard on this, but I can't even say I smelt a lot of passion off this game, man. I can't pretend. And so I'm sure there was effort put in somewhere, but it's just hard to find. And it's tough to watch as a fan, but I hope that they can recover from this. And I hope Xbox truly takes a look inside and realizes now more than ever that these games, Bethesda, Activision, maybe one day Sega, reflect their brand. And that even if they are not intertwined, we will not and never will have the privilege to know the inner workings of their studios. And that when you are going to have that marriage of the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, it sends a very clear and concise message that you two are working together more intimately than ever before. It is a fair expectation that Xbox should have been involved in this game. And so with that, I hope they learn from this. I hope Starfield does not come anywhere close to suffering the same fate. And if it is going to, that it gets the time it deserves, like Redfall should have gotten.
Absolutely.
So with that,
well said,
ladies and gentlemen, we'll see what happens. Until then, take excellent care of yourselves, and we will see you next time for episode 123 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Maddie's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.